he's admitted to or gotten caught lying to. His wife, his kids, bankers, federal judges, state judges, Congress. I mean, they went through the list multiple times, and that was the last chance the defense, unless something really unusual happens, will get to talk to this jury. And if you're pinning your entire case on a guy who, even as the prosecution with the burden of proof says, well, he lies sometimes, the jury's going to have to ask, was he lying this time?
Fox's Shannon Bream. Prosecutors say then President Trump falsified business records to cover up hush money reimbursements to Cohen. Just before the prosecution began its close, the judge telling the jury to disregard what he calls an improper comment from the defense that they shouldn't send the former president to prison. The Israeli military calls the deadly fire at a Palestinian refugee camp in Gaza devastating and says how it started remains under investigation because an airstrike targeting senior Hamas officials was nearly a mile away from that humanitarian area.
As we have said before, Israel has a right to go after the Hamas terrorists responsible for the cold-blooded murder of civilians, as appears to have been Israel's aim here, and Hamas should stop hiding behind civilians in Gaza.
State Department spokesman Matthew Miller says the U.S. will closely watch the results of the Rafah investigation. Just 2 weeks after humanitarian aid started flowing into Gaza from a U.S.-built pier, that aid is now suspended after damage to the pier from rough seas. The Pentagon just confirming the pier will now have to be removed from the Gaza coast for repairs. America is listening to Fox News.
'93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Shots by a cop. Partly cloudy at 71 degrees in downtown Indianapolis. Nothing on a radar. Low temperatures to the mid-50s tonight. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending at 3:02. A suspect in a carjacking was shot by a police officer in Indianapolis this morning on the northeast side.
Aid was rendered, and the suspect was taken to Eskenazi Hospital and has died.
IMPD Chief Chris Bailey says they are still looking for a gray sedan with 2 people in it. They've looked at body-worn cameras from the officer. Police are also going to interview witnesses who were at the scene. 3 people that were killed in crashes between last night and this morning in the capital city. One of those was a hit-and-run involving a go-kart and SUV.
One, it is a crime to have a crash and leave the scene. It's a misdemeanor.
IMPD Captain Don Wildhammer says it's even worse when it's a fatal wreck and you leave the scene. They're still looking for suspects in all of the 3 crashes. There might be some delays and issues at Ascension St. Vincent Hospital in Indianapolis, all because of a cyber attack. Here's Ryan Hedrick.
Justin Neisser is a traveling nurse who renewed his contract at the hospital, but suddenly quit after a cyber attack happened on May 8th.
It's still chaotic, but it was extremely chaotic that first day when literally no systems worked at all.
Neisser says the hospital is having trouble reading X-rays, CT scans, and MRIs quickly, and some patients are getting outdated medication or meds that don't match their diagnosis. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
The Pacer season ended last night after a 4th consecutive loss to the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals.
So proud of our guys and just how they just poured everything into every game of this series and every series before that and the entire season.
Head coach Rick Carlisle on 107.5 The Fan. Priority number 1 this offseason is getting Pascal Siakam to stay in the building. Storms over Memorial Day weekend delayed the Indianapolis 500, and there's a chance for some more rain tonight, but it's nothing serious, says Jason Puma with the National Weather Service.
There's a chance for a few thunderstorms late tonight, but that's only a 30% chance, and those storms are not expected to be severe.
Puma says it should be a calm week. You're 1 minute away from traffic and weather. It's 3:04.
According to a 2023 Gallup poll, 71% of non-retired adults are worried about retirement saving. At Howard Bailey Financial, we don't believe retiring with confidence should be guesswork. In fact, our mission is to help you gain clarity and purpose and elevate meaning in your life through personal and practical financial strategies. That's why we provide our Retire with Purpose toolkit at no cost. In it, you'll find valuable information on minimizing taxes, maximizing Social Security, and building a retirement income you won't outlive. To receive your complimentary toolkit, text CLARITY to 866-482-9559. Take a step toward a more confident retirement with Howard Bailey Financial and text CLARITY to 866-482-9559.
This endorsement was not provided by a client of Howard Bailey. This individual was compensated for this endorsement. For more information, visit howardbailey.com/TS1.
With traffic on the 5s at 3:05. Good afternoon, Matt Bear.
All right, looking at eastbound 465 stop-and-go traffic right now from Keystone Avenue past Allisonville Road. Then northbound 69, it is a crash up in Madison County and a closure. A crash and closure northbound 69 at State Road at 38. That's near Pendleton. Traffic sponsored by Grand Appliance. Shop Grand Appliance for a huge selection of top appliance brands like Samsung and more and unbeatable prices. Learn more at grandappliance.com or your local showroom. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
And the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Low temperatures tonight into the mid-50s, a few showers and storms early on, but drying out in the forecast for tomorrow. High temperatures into the lower 70s. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
I'm Harrison Silcox on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Hammer and Nigel.
Can you believe these characters are weirdos?
So let's rock it.
Nigel. Jason Hammer is out. The Gunday, Guy Relford, filling in. Do hope everybody had an awesome Memorial Day weekend. Guy, thank you for filling in this afternoon. You know who had a great Memorial Day weekend? Joseph Newgarden.
Yeah, he sure did.
Can you believe that finish? Him and Pato Award.
Absolutely.
Trading first and second place. Poor Pato was just despondent at the end of that race. Did you see any of that?
Oh, I saw all of it. And more importantly, I was able to listen to it on WIBC.
Yeah.
I mean, this team.
There's nothing like being able to listen to it. I got home from a pool party just in time to hear the last 10 laps. I didn't go inside and watch it on TV. I listened to the IMS radio network call it. It was incredible. Hairs the back of my neck standing up.
It absolutely does, and it brings back so many memories. I mean, you go back 20, 30, a lot more years than that. I mean, as a kid growing up, having WIBC on the radio and listening to the IMS news or race coverage was just some of the coolest thing ever. But, yeah, I mean, so I pulled it up early on the Peacock network because I still thought it was blacked out locally, but I guess they lifted the blackout at the last second or something, didn't they?
After they evacuated everybody from the track because of weather.
Okay.
And then 4-hour delay, I believe. Yeah, they finally said, okay, we've got all our money this time. There's 355,000 people here.
Yeah.
And because of this 4-hour delay, we'll go ahead and lift the blackout.
So I actually had it on the TV. We have a portable TV we wheel out onto the deck, and so after it cleared off, we had that out there and having some cocktails. I was doing some barbecue, but I had the sound turned off, and I had IMS Radio Network and WIBC turned on, and it was awesome. But to your point, when your eventual race leader takes the lead, coming around the third turn of the final lap, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Let's listen here. The final call on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Radio Network.
And Pato Award has a 3-car length advantage over Joseph Newgarden. Newgarden trying to be the 6 back-to-back winners, but not if Pato Award has anything to say about it. He'll go extremely low down that back straightaway. Pato Award snaking around, trying to irritate that air. Newgarden to the outside. Newgarden side by side has taken the lead at the Indianapolis 500-mile race.
Joseph Newgarden with a strong left into turn number 3. Pato Award makes a run, but he will not catch it. Joseph Newgarden goes back-to-back, wins the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race. So going into turn 2, Pato had the lead.
Yeah.
And you heard Michael Young and Jake Query there in 2 and 3 talking about that. And then all of a sudden, Jake Query's like, no, Joseph Newgarden going around the outside. Oh, and he took the lead, and it was incredible.
It really was incredible. And, my thought, too, was that, look, I've been going to the race for a lot of years. I didn't go this year. But I remember being out there when the race got rained out. We were out there all day, and the infield turns.
It's hardly ever happened.
Hardly, but you go way back, and I've been there when that happened.
I was there for the tornado in the early 2000s.
Oh yeah. But the infield turns to a big mud swamp, and it can be just miserable. And I was kind of watching things develop and as much rain as came through. And I'm going, man, this has the potential to just turn into a really horrific experience for a lot of people out there. And I was hoping that my friends were still going to have a good time. I was hoping they were still going to get the race in. And man, not only did they get the race in, but the stands were full.
It looked like nothing had ever happened. It looked like there was no evacuation, and there were no empty seats.
Exactly right.
And so everybody came back in. The snake pit looked incredible, like just packed full, just nothing but bodies.
Exactly. And then they have this amazing race that comes right down to the last two turns. And I just thought, you know what? Congratulations to IMS Doug Bowles, who does such a great professional job out there.
Doug Bowles is a savage, the president out of the IMS.
He is. And he did a fabulous job, the whole crew out there. And to the fans, you know, if you're one of those 350,000 people who said, oh, hell no, I'm sticking it out. I'm going to be out here. I'm going to watch this race. I'm going to have the experience. And your butt was in the seat when they finally heard, start your engines. I mean, good for you. Congratulations to you, too.
A little bit from Joseph Newgarden winning 2 in a row. Here he is after the win and the similarities between this year and last year.
Oh, so similar. I mean, I genuinely mean that. It was very similar. You know, it's kind of, you don't know that you're going to ever win this race. Of course you can dream about it. How could you not, right? Like, I've dreamed about winning this race for years, but you'd never know you're going to win it until you're winning it. And that's like right before the line that you know you're winning it. So it's very spur of the moment, and I just wanted to get back, you know, to do what we did last year and, you know, celebrate with this group so quickly was very gratifying.
You know, Nigel, I have a question for you. You know, I've seen varying reactions to Pato's post-race, I almost said post-game, post-race interview.
Oh, he was so
and a whole bunch of people said, oh my gosh, my heart breaks for him. And, you know, we're really empathetic
He's
toward him.
dropping F-bombs live on the air.
But then I've heard a lot of other people to say, bro, grow up. You know, you still finished second. What was your reaction? Did you feel for the guy, or
I felt for him? I say I get it. As far as somebody that's never been in a race car before, except the IndyCar 2-seater, this is the premier race. This is the most prestigious IndyCar race in the world, and to come so close, and then on the third turn get passed by last year's champion, I get it. I understand it. These guys take the Indy 500 above all else, any other races in this country or abroad.
Yeah, I get it.
Do you not get it?
Part of me wanted to say, you know, grow up a little bit. I mean, but then again, I had the Ricky Bobby quote kept coming through my head. Go, if you're not first, you're last. You know, I mean, so I get a little bit of that, but I don't know. That the level of that competition and the amount of effort and work that goes into what they do, I think I probably sell him a little short, and the guy deserves a break.
How about Ericsson getting getting taken out by a rookie like on the first lap?
Yeah.
What did he won a few years ago, and then was runner up behind? Was it Newgarden last year? I don't know, but I forget about last year. But man, Ericsson. That dude got just jobbed by a rookie move, got too low into the grass, and just spun out.
Yeah,
I felt bad for that guy, too.
I think I might have to throw hands in that situation.
Hey, traffic, by the way, at Hammer and Nigel, what happened with the traffic after the race? I hear it was like more of a nightmare than usual, and I think I was talking to Jake Query before his show started at noon on the Sports Talk station. His theory is that, you know, normally the race is over by what? 3:45.
Yeah.
And people hang out, they tailgate, they are still, they take their sweet ass time getting back to their cars. They're in no hurry. Traffic's still bad, but man, people left that place at like 9 o'clock and didn't get home until after midnight.
I heard a lot of those stories. I heard a bunch of those stories, but I think you nailed it, Nigel, which was there was no post-race party. You know, in the Coke lot or in the infield, people are going, okay, this was awesome, had a great time. Now it's time to get out of Dodge.
So you got 350,000 people all at the same time.
So you had everybody hitting the road at the same time as opposed to hanging out to party for a while, and I think that's exactly what happened.
Meanwhile, the Pacers swept out of the Eastern Conference Finals by the Boston Celtics. Final score last night at Cambridge, 105-102. Here's Coach Carlisle on some of the missed opportunities.
Well, we had great opportunities for sure. It's always very difficult when a season ends, especially one like this. And so, it's disappointing, but I mean, I think I laid it out a moment ago. I mean, they made unbelievable plays to win those games. And, and we showed our inexperience in a lot of these situations, and, we'll be better in the future for it.
Pacers coach Rick Carlisle on the wake-up call with KB and Andy on our sister sports talk station, 107.5 The Fan. I felt like going into Game 4, the Pacers could have easily been 2-1 going into that.
They should have been 2-1. I mean,
they should have been.
In Game 1,
critical mistakes.
Game 1, they had the ball with 10 seconds to go in the game and a timeout. Did not call the timeout. Did not advance the ball. Taking the ball out on the Celtics side of the court and get the turnover. Ended up giving up a miracle 3 in the corner. But a crucial mistake. Call timeout, advance the ball. You get the ball on your side of the court at that point. Wasn't done with 10 seconds to go. What are you saving the timeout for? I mean, and then
same kind of deal in Game 3. Game 2 was not fun to watch.
Game 2 was not fun, but Game 3, 18-point lead.
Yeah, they chipped away at that.
18-point lead.
They grinded away at that lead.
But you know what was a mirror image? And listen, this was a young team, and I want to give them a lot of credit. And nobody expected to see them in the Eastern Conference Finals, and God bless them. And they play hard. They play with a lot of heart, a lot of effort, a lot of hustle. You got to give credit where credit is due. At the same time, the end of Game 3 and the end of Game 4 were mirror images of each other, which is in the last 2 minutes, I think of both games.
Yes.
And somebody out there who's a statistical nut will correct me if I'm wrong. I think both games in the last 2 minutes, they had more turnovers than points.
Eek.
In both games. And you cannot win a playoff game against a high quality foe with more turnovers than points.
I'm with Hammer. I'm just glad they beat the Knicks.
Oh, absolutely.
We're playing with house money at this point.
Good point.
Matt Bear, what's going on with traffic?
Nigel, we're up in Madison County right now. Northbound 69 is closed after State Road 38 Pendleton. And that is because of a crash. I'm told 2 left lanes are blocked, and the right lane is getting by here at the moment. But traffic is stopped almost to State Road 13. That's where I'm peeling off unless you want to be stuck in the stop traffic. Now eastbound 465, stop and go Westfield Boulevard over to Allisonville Road. Traffic sponsored by the Indianapolis Men's Clinic. Guys, solve your ED today with an intimacy guarantee only at the Indianapolis Men's Clinic. If you don't perform, you don't pay. Call the Indianapolis Men's Clinic at 999-9000. That's 999-9000. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us at WIBC Traffic.
Late night for you Sunday night, Matt?
Yeah, it was bedlam. I mean, it was one of those things. I really felt bad for the people that were driving. What do you tell them, man? I mean, there's no way out. There's no way out.
Yeah, what's your working theory on what is it? Just 355,000 people at 8:45 at night deciding to just leave at the same time?
Yeah.
Is that, you think that's it?
I really think that's it. I think there were some closures that weren't necessarily announced, and I won't get much further into it than that. But I think there were some closures that were happening there, and that just had people stuck in these lots. And, it's late at night. I hope that there was security out there monitoring these parking lots to make sure everybody was safe.
Hey, nice work Sunday, man. Thank you.
Thank you
for
brother.
everything. Hey,
Appreciate
it's
you.
72. At the American Standard Cooling Weather Center. We're going to get a hold of Hammer next. I don't know what he's out doing today. I think he's in the IndyCar 2-seater, or maybe his son was. But he was at the race. I want to get his input, his experience with the weather delay and everything that happened. We'll talk to Hammer next.
Mark Dietl is the only real estate expert I would trust with the sale of my home. How about Luke and Emma in Franklin? Here's what they had to say. We bought land and began building our new dream home, but then we had to sell our old place at the right price. The Mark Dietl team got us multiple offers in the first weekend and negotiated for us to stay while we completed our new place. It was stress-free and easy with Mark Dietl.
What separates Mark Dietl from the competition is the guarantee. Mark Dietl guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. That is the Mark Dietl guarantee. Pick your move date, no long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. Call Mark Dietl today, 317-755-4235. 32. He's the only agent we trust and recommend on the Hammer and Nigel show. You can also go online to markdietel.com. That's Mark, D-I-E-T-E-L, markdietel.com.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code MONTHFREE by May 31st. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Get out fast, get cash, sell your home in a flash. The IndyHomebuyer.com. No inspection, no fuss. We only need to see it once. The IndyHomebuyer.com. Problem properties, tenants don't pay. Just hand us the keys and your problems go away. Get out fast, get cash, sell your home in a flash. The IndyHomebuyer.com. Get out fast, get cash, sell your home in a flash. The IndyHomebuyer.com.
No matter your reason for selling, theindyhomebuyer.com will pay cash for your house in any condition. If you're dealing with deadbeat tenants, big repairs, or inheritance, theindyhomebuyer.com is the solution. No hassle, no inspections. Theindyhomebuyer.com.
Get out fast, get cash, sell your home in a flash. The IndyHomebuyer.com. Get out fast, get cash, sell your home in a flash. The IndyHomebuyer.com.
This hour on 93 WIBC, powered by Absolute Comfort, your American Standard Mitsubishi electric ductless mini splits dealer.
You're listening to the Hammer and Nigel Show.
Yeah, my name is Nigel. Guy Relford filling in for Jason Hammer, who's on the hotline right now. You took the day off. Did you do the IndyCar two-seater, or was it your son, or did both of you guys go?
No, just my son. It was a Christmas gift from last year. I got him a two-seater ride at the Speedway, and today was the day that we cashed that bad boy in.
Do you know who your driver was?
Yeah, they had a bunch of them out there. I mean, it was packed today.
Really?
It sounded like there was a race going on with as many of these cars that were out there. Spencer Piggott, former IndyCar driver, raced in a couple 500s. He was the one that took Chris around today, but they had a couple of others out there. I think Davey Hamilton was also driving people around.
Davey drove me like in the early 2000s, and I pooped my pants. Have you ever done it before?
A while, man. I did it probably 10-something years ago, and when you go around those turns, it feels like your head is about to fly up into the grandstand.
I know. You get so close to the wall, and they have like a panic button in the back seat. Like you could hit the button, and it'll tell the driver, hey, slow down or stop, or I'm finished, or I'm about ready to puke. And so who did it, Chris or Jake?
Chris.
Okay, that's your oldest. How'd he do? What do you think?
Oh, he loved it. I mean, as soon as he turned 18, because that's the age you have to be to do this kind of thing, he's like, I want to do that. I want to do that. So, we got him the two-seater ride. He cashed it in today, and, man, he loves it. It was a good time.
I got a little panicked when I did it in the early 2000s. Davey had me so close to that wall. I mean, what do they do? Like 150, 180 miles an hour?
It's up there a little bit higher now. I think today they were taking you anywhere from like 185 to 200.
Shut up,
man! I'll tell you what, and I'll tell you what, Hammer. I hope Christopher puts the pictures of him in the racing suit all over his social media because he looks like a natural, man. He looked like the real thing walking around. He has to have enjoyed the whole experience and the pictures because he looked like a badass.
He was in his element for sure. Like Chris doing that right there looked like Guy Relford walking around like the gun convention.
You and the boys were at the race on Sunday, and again, the pictures. How'd you handle the weather? I mean, the pictures looked like you guys were, going with the flow. I you know me. I would have been like, all right, I'm out of here. See you. You know what I mean? You guys kind of look like you're enjoying it. I mean, there was the wait. So tell me, just take me through the process of, you're in your seats, and then you got to exit the grandstands, and tell me all about it. What was your vibe?
So they made the announcement. We got to the track probably about 10:30ish.
Okay.
And again, we took the shuttle coming in. I can't speak enough about the shuttle service. It's so fantastic.
You got to get on that early because it was sold out.
Yeah, it's great. It's totally worth the money if you can get it. So, you go through all the stop signs, all the closures, they drop you off. We got our seats right where we get dropped off. So we're up there, we know the weather's coming, but then they make the announcement that 11:15, everybody has to be out of their seats. So we go down in like the shelter type area where everybody else is, and then the storm comes through, and honestly, it wasn't that bad. We expected a little worse, but it's the Indy 500, so everybody starts having a party. The wave breaks out. Somebody gets a beach ball. There's a beach ball going back and forth. There are sing-alongs, and the concession stands sold out of food and beer because everybody was like, well, hell, there's nothing else to do for the next 3 hours. I might as well eat and get drunk.
How did the Hammer cooler survive? Did you bring was there anything left at the beginning of the race?
Oh, no. That stuff was all gone by the time the race rolled around. But, it was fine, man. Everybody was cool. And I got to be honest, I don't think many people left. I know they televised it this year because they thought people were going to leave and they were scared of the weather. We got back to our seats, and by the time the pre-race ceremonies began, which was around 4:10, I started looking around. It looked like a regular noon start. Like there wasn't a seat to be found anywhere near where we were at. And, man, I don't know how many people left. It was packed.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, from the coverage that I saw, and I had it up early on Peacock, I think I could still get it even before they announced it was going to be blacked out locally. And but anyway, once things got going, it looked like it was completely full to me. It looked like a sellout. It looked better than most years when they don't actually have a grandstand sellout. So we were talking early on in the broadcast tonight, Jason, that I was giving the fans huge credit because, man, it looked to me like pretty much 99% stuck around.
Yeah, and, man, they were rewarded because it was such a beautiful day after the rain went through. Light breeze, temperature in the 70s. We had a beautiful sunset as the race was coming to an end, and the race itself was so fantastic. Fans were totally rewarded that stuck around.
Talk about, and we'll end on this, IMS President Doug Bowles, how much of a savage this guy is. Calm, cool, collected. We've talked to this guy many, many times before, and I think obviously the success of what happened on Sunday in terms of the fans, the evacuation, coming back in, the snake pit was asses to elbows, and I think this was all, kudos to the president of the IMS, Doug Bowles, for I don't know, for his job and his role in getting things moving along.
He is the best at what he does.
Absolutely.
Nigel, you and I talk all the time. Sometimes we're lucky enough to speak to guests that come in studio or on the phone. Somebody like Joey Chestnut. He's the best in the world at what he does. If your job is to eat hot dogs, he's the best in the world. Well, I can't think of anybody that's better at running the Indianapolis Motor Speedway than Doug Bowles. He loves it. He's a lifer. He gets it. He puts in long hours. And it's not just him. Hat tip to all the yellow shirts and the security guards, the police officers, the shuttle drivers. Man, that was a long-ass day. But a lot of people, they put the OT in just to make it go off. And, yeah, Doug Bowles is the man.
All right, Hammer, enjoy the rest of your day off. We'll see you tomorrow, bud.
All right, you guys have a good one.
See you, buddy.
It's the Hammer and Nigel show. We'll be back.
Hammer and Nigel here. Hammer, this is actually pretty amazing. If you could get a 15% upfront bonus on your money and a competitive return that's averaged 7% a year for the past 10 years, what would you say?
Abso-freaking-lutely. And that's what Bill Demery can offer you right now. A 15% upfront bonus when you invest your money. And what I love about Bill Demery, I've met with him. He can explain this stuff in a way that I can understand. He breaks it down, and it's so easy, Nige.
There's a lot of advisors on this station, but we only put our name on one advisor that we trust, both of us, and that's Bill Demery, your retirement guy.
Help take care of your hard-earned money and reach out to Bill Demery right now. 317-648-5120. Ask about the 15% upfront bonus. 317-648-5120. Past performance is no guarantee of future returns.
This
Side-by-side battle of the line.
is Indy.
Tell me it wasn't worth the wait. New Garden to the outside.
The race to renew is on. Indy 500 ticket renewals are open for the next 500 hours. Lock in your current seats by June 17th for the lowest prices available. Details at ims.com.
Puddle Award makes a run, but he will not catch it.
This
Joseph Newgarden goes back-to-back, wins the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race.
is Indy, where heroes become legends and legends become legendary.
Nobody cares for you like family. Family heating and air.
Maintenance is going to drastically increase the efficiency and performance of your system. It's also going to significantly improve the longevity of it. People think that they are saving money by skipping their maintenance, and in reality, they're just shaving years off the life and increasing the consumption of that unit, spending a lot more in the long term.
Get your tune-up today at Family Heating and Air, your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. Like 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings versus Verizon and AT&T. Experience all this and more on America's largest 5G network. At T-Mobile, customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a line. Switch today.
With AutoPay using debit or bank account plus taxes and fees, 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. See details.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
A police shooting, partly cloudy and 72 degrees downtown. No rain currently on your radar. Temperatures expected to drop into the 50s tonight. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending at 3:32. This morning was the 6th shooting in Indianapolis this year that involved a police officer.
As is standard operating procedure, the officer has been placed on administrative leave and will be provided with wellness services to him and his family.
IMPD Chief Chris Bailey says it started with a carjacking on the northeast side. He believes that officer shot the suspect, who later died at a hospital. No one else was hurt. Bailey says there's still a lot of investigating to do. 3 people died in 3 crashes in the capital city between last night and this morning. One of them, a hit and run.
When you involve somebody that has been injured, or in this case was killed as a result of the crash, it's even a higher crime.
IMPD Captain Don Wildhammer. Police say they are looking for suspects in all 3 crashes. If you can help, give IMPD a call. The former president's son says Michael Cohen is not an honest man.
Todd Blanche summed it up best. If there was an MVP, if there was a GOAT of liars, it is Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen is the embodiment of reasonable doubt, and this entire case hinges on someone who has quite literally lied to every single person and body he's ever been in front of.
Donald Trump Jr. speaking outside of the Manhattan Supreme Court in New York City while closing arguments are happening in Donald Trump's hush money case today. Cohen's a former attorney for the former president. How do you feel about that trial involving former President Donald Trump?
Hopefully he'll be not convicted.
We hope with a guilty verdict. But he's gotten out of things before, so I don't know how it's all going to end up. We're waiting to see. That's for the jury and the judge, obviously, to decide.
A couple more concerts have been announced in Indy, reports Sam Fritz.
Country and rock fans, Indianapolis has 2 shows for you that were just announced on Tuesday. The first act stopping by will be Jane's Addiction, who are coming to town on Thursday, September 26th. They are embarking on a co-headlining tour with the band Love and Rockets and will be stopping downtown at the Everwise Amphitheater. The following month, country star Brett Young will be performing inside of the Murat Theater on Saturday, October 19th, as he continues to support his 4th album, Across the Sheets. Both shows go on sale this Friday on livenation.com. Sam Fritz, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
We're 1 minute away from traffic and weather. It's 3:34.
I love summertime. I love going to the ball game. I love taking road trips. And my friends at AAA Hoosier Motor Club help deliver on both. I love going to Victory Field, taking the kids and having a night there. It's great. AAA is now the official insurance partner of the Indianapolis Indians. This means if you're a AAA member, you get $4 off tickets to all home games, plus 10% off concessions and Indians Pro Shop discounts.
Going to Victory Field, always a winner. Same with going on a vacation. And AAA members, you save with that too. You get access to discounts on hotels, rental cars, and a lot more with complimentary travel planning. Plus, if you run into any trouble on the road, AAA has you covered. Flat tire, dead battery, run out of gas, lock your keys in the car. AAA is there 24/7, 365, no matter where your travels take you. So this summer, do yourself a favor and join AAA today. Visit AAA.com, call 844-GO-AAA-GO, or stop by your local AAA office.
With traffic at 335, here's Matt Bear.
All right, Harrison, that closure and crash did clear up in Madison County. It was northbound 69 after State Road 38. It is gone. Traffic is cleared out nicely. Also, looking at southbound 65 to downtown. Stop and go traffic, MLK to Meridian Bend. Eastbound 70 grinds from Belmont to the South Split exit, North Slope to the Washington Street exit, and inbound 69 stop and go after 106th Street down to 465. Traffic sponsored by Drexel Interiors. Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's Design Centers at 146th Street and River Road or on North Shadeland. Online at drexelin.com. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
And the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Low temperatures tonight into the mid-50s. A few showers and storms early on, but drying out in the forecast for tomorrow. High temperatures into the lower 70s. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
I'm Harrison Silcox on the level on the go and on WIBC.com.
The only way to bag a classy lady is to give her 2 tickets to the gun show.
It's Monday Gunday with the gun guy.
Just watch out for the guns. They'll get you.
Guy Relford.
Stop calling your arms guns.
Hammer and Nigel show.
Yay! My name is Nigel. Guy Relford is filling in for Hammer. We usually do Monday Gunday, obviously on Mondays, but we were off for Memorial Day holiday. Guy Relford filling in for Hammer. I thought, hey, let's get the sponsor in. How are you, Guy?
Oh, man, I'm great. And thanks, as always, to our sponsor for Monday Gunday. That's Premier Arms in Brownsburg, with the largest selection of new, used, and historic firearms in the Midwest, and PA Jewelers located right in the store. Check them out at 3754 South Green Street in Brownsburg or premierarms.com.
Look, it could be a huge couple of weeks or months for the Second Amendment, expecting some decisions from the Supreme Court very soon, perhaps as soon as later this week. Tell me the deal. Like, what are we looking at here?
Well, it's crazy because, we went for decades and decades, generations, and the Supreme Court never took a Second Amendment case. And here they did finally 2008, the Heller case, which sort of defined the meaning of the Second Amendment. Then they didn't take any for a long time until just a couple of years ago, and they took the Bruin case. And now they started to take several. And there are 2, not only that have been accepted, they've already been argued. And to your point, Nige, we're waiting for the decisions. And these are the Rahimi case. That's to determine the constitutionality of the fact that you can lose your Second Amendment rights when you haven't been convicted of any crime, but when there's been a domestic violence order of protection entered against you. And again, you haven't been convicted of a crime, and
that guy's not a good guy, though, right?
He's not a good guy. No, he's
Rahimi kind of makes this sullies this a little bit.
That's exactly what we've talked about, and you could not be more right. He turns out he's a fairly violent guy, so it's going to be interesting to see what the Supreme Court does with that. I'm hoping they focus on the due process issues because, for instance, when you go through, take out the fact that this guy is apparently a dirtbag, you go through that process. It's a civil proceeding, so there's no right to counsel. So you don't have the right to a lawyer. You don't get due process protections like that, and it's only a preponderance of the evidence standard. It's not like beyond a reasonable doubt in a criminal case. So a lot of people are focused on the fact, wow, should you lose your Second Amendment rights when you have no due process protection, you have no right to counsel, and it's only a preponderance of the evidence standard like in a civil case. So, but we'll have to see what happens there. But then separately, the Cargill case is on bump stocks. And this is actually the Trump bump stock ban, where Trump, after the Las Vegas shooting, went to ATF and said, hey, bump stocks, they're gone, make these things illegal. Well, that's exactly what the ATF did, but they did that without Congress. And I listened to the oral arguments in that case, and the Supreme Court justices, I don't think they care much about bump stocks in particular, just like I don't care much about bump stocks. Right. I think they're stupid. But the question is, should an administrative agency be able to essentially change the law, change the meaning of words written by Congress without the involvement of Congress? And that's why it's not really even a Second Amendment argument. It's an argument under the so-called vesting clause, which is all legislative power shall be vested in the legislature.
Remind everybody what a bump stock is, and why this is kind of a bump stock. This is a bigger issue than bump stock.
It is, and I've said that from day one. I've always said we ought to be very concerned about this because of the way it happened and the fact that a president just told an administrative agency to change the law. But what it is it's a stock, meaning you put it against your shoulder. It's attached to a rifle typically, and what it does is when you pull the trigger, it allows the stock to bounce off your shoulder. In other words, bump back and forth against your shoulder. And if you just hold your trigger finger rigid, as it bounces off your shoulder, the gun will continue to fire. In other words, the gun bounces into your trigger finger and back. And so as the gun discharges, it's bouncing off your shoulder, and your rigid trigger finger is causing the gun to continue to fire. And so it sounds a lot like a machine gun. It's not a machine gun because the trigger has to be pulled for each shot. That's what the language they're arguing over. The bump stock
makes it easier to do that.
The bump stock makes it easier to do. It makes it easier for you to shoot a gun really, really quickly, but it doesn't meet the legal definition of a machine gun. But I'm hoping that not only do we get some relief as to that. Again, I don't care much about bump stocks. I think they're stupid. You're sacrificing accuracy for rate of fire, which I think is dumb. But more importantly, I think it's going to hopefully rein in the powers of administrative agencies generally, not just ATF, but to say, look, the founders had a very specific idea in this country, which is the legislature changes the law, not these executive agencies. All these alphabet agencies, whether it's EPA or ATF or any others, they're not there to change the law. They're there to enforce the law. That's why they're part of the executive branch. I'm hoping we get a big pullback on the power of administrative agencies. We'll have to see.
I want to pivot to this CNN headline. Federal judge makes key rulings ahead of Hunter Biden's trial on gun charges in June. It doesn't seem like they're being very they're not taking this lightly in terms of the feds here and Hunter Biden's gun charges. What are the charges? What's the latest?
Yeah, what he's accused of is, while he has publicly admitted he was addicted to drugs, I believe cocaine was his drug of choice.
He wrote it in his book.
Yeah, exactly. He put it in his book. He did a media tour touting his book. So he's out there telling people, during this particular time frame, I was addicted to cocaine. During that time frame, he went into a gun store to buy a gun. And the form you fill out is called a 4473. When you fill that out, one of the questions you're asked is, are you a user of or addicted to any illegal drugs? And both those, user of or addicted to. And he said no. If he'd have said yes, he wouldn't have gotten his gun, because that makes you a prohibited possessor, we call it, under federal law. He checked no, and on that basis bought the gun. Lying on that form is 10 years in prison. Plus, it's a separate crime to actually possess a gun or to buy the gun while you're addicted to illegal drugs or a user of illegal drugs. So there's those three charges. And this thing's set for trial. And to your point, we just had some rulings out of this judge, which ought to be making old Hunter a little nervous because, for instance, one of them is he said, well, the prosecution doesn't have to prove you used drugs on the particular day at issue. All they have to prove is you generally, in this time frame, were a user of or addicted to illegal drugs.
Yeah, that's the point. That's the spirit of the question.
That's the spirit of the question.
On the document.
That's a really good way to phrase it, and that's exactly right. That's what the judge said. Separately, what's really interesting is there are messages to and from Hunter on the infamous Hunter laptop.
Which was real, which is not Russian disinfo.
Which is not Russian. Well, that's apparently going to be an issue in this trial because the prosecution, the U.S. attorneys, want to use messages to and from Hunter where he's discussing his drug use on the Hunter laptop, and the defense team wants to be able to dispute whether the Hunter laptop is legitimate or it's not. So what we may see, and I think it'll be limited in scope, but the topic is going to be, is the Hunter laptop legitimate? Was it really Hunter's laptop? Or is it some, Russian disinformation or a plant or fabricated by this computer repair store owner or whatever else, BS we've seen thrown against the wall? I think for the Hunter fans and even the Joe Biden fans, they got to be a little nervous because it's going to be put out there in public and in court about whether the Hunter laptop's really legitimate or not. And I think we know how that's going to turn out.
I think we already know the answer to that anyway.
I think we do.
It's already been proven that it's legitimate. One more thing on Monday Gunday here with Guy Relford filling in for Hammer. I saw this again. Let's go back to CNN for a second. I saw this montage video of interviews with parents and their kids about lockdown drills in school settings.
Yeah.
And there's this one lady, of course, she's wearing a Mom's Demand Action t-shirt.
The gun control group, right?
Yeah, the gun grabber group.
Yeah, you bet.
They don't want you to have any guns at all. How do you feel? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, sure. Absolutely. I watched all the little videos.
Talk about how petrifying these school lockdown drills are. Where are you at with these drills? Well, I will say, first of all, at least at my kids' elementary school, they don't call it, when they do these drills, they don't say anything about an active shooter.
Right.
They don't go through the halls. And I've kind of seen this before, I feel like, in some different schools, but they say like a deer is on the loose or something like that. A deer broke into the school or something like that. We have to lock down, and we have to just pretend that's what's happening. I mean, so I saw this. I don't know. Everybody has a different experience here. What do you think?
Well, I think that unfortunately school shootings happen, and if God forbid that ever happens at my kid or my grandkid's school, I want them to be as well prepared as possible. And I want there hopefully to be preventive measures in place that prevent it from ever happening. And if somebody God forbid gets into school, I hope there's somebody right there who will shoot him in the head, and that will be over. But let's just say neither of those two things happen. Now you've got an active shooter in the school. What have we been hearing from the authorities from day one? It's have a plan, be prepared, know where your evacuation routes are, know how to get out of the school if you possibly can, and if you can't get out of the school, know how to barricade in place, be able to lock doors, be able to put barricades between you and the bad guy, and if God forbid the very last option, be prepared to fight. What can you throw at this guy? What can you do? I mean, obviously, depending on the age of the student, we're talking about a huge amount of variables on that issue. But my point is, it's all about being prepared. And the whole video we're talking about, this montage, was all about basically parents treating their kids like little snowflakes, going, well, we don't want to upset them with these drills, and and they can come home and they're all concerned, going, gosh, why do we have this drill at my school? And it doesn't appear to me that any of these parents are willing to have. And again, age of student is a huge issue.
I know, I get some of the concern. I understand it, but you got to have the conversation.
But the first priority ought to be what? Keeping your kids safe.
Yes.
And that drills, undoubtedly, having a plan and that kid being able to follow a plan, if God forbid this ever happens, is number one on keeping them safe. I put that as my first priority.
We'll be right back. It's the Hammer and Nigel Show.
Hey, guys, it's Rob from my friends at Universal Windows Direct. Spring is here, and it's only going to get hotter. Call my guys at Universal Windows Direct. At Universal Windows Direct, their super spacer technology makes their windows last up to 5 times longer than other Windows systems. So your windows from Universal Windows Direct perform better and last longer. Plus, Universal Windows Direct backs it up with a true 20-year warranty. And listen to this deal going on with Universal Windows Direct. Call today at 317-659-7574, and for every 2 windows you buy, you get the next 2 free. Buy 2, get 2. Buy 4, get 4. Buy 20, get 20. There's no limit. Plus, what a deal, 0% financing for 60 months. That's right, 0% financing for 60 months. Restrictions apply. For the last windows you'll ever need, go to UWD.com, UWD.com, UWD.com.
My husband, Bob, has Parkinson's, and he needs more help now, and I need more support to help him. Thanks to Indiana Pathways for Aging, we're getting the support we need to help him right here at home, like with meal prep and basic personal care, and even respite support for me.
Pathways provides Hoosier Medicaid members, age 60 and over, support for care their way, so they can live life their way. Eligible members can select a plan now. Call 87-PATHWAY-4 or visit in.gov/pathways.
Guy Relford here. Time again for the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show this coming weekend at the State Fairgrounds, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's never been a more important time to exercise our rights as true Americans. It's the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show. See the best in sporting, hunting, and personal protection gear, plus great displays of Americana. Come see us this weekend at the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show, Friday 2 to 7, Saturday 9 to 6, and Sunday 9 to 4. It's the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show. See you there.
911, what's your emergency?
In an emergency, voice is best. But what if you can't call?
Escalated domestic disturbance reported east of downtown. Be advised, alert was received by a 911 emergency text. Caller is hiding in a closet and can't use her voice.
When the situation is too dangerous to make a call, text to 911. Capability Now helps Hoosiers. But in most emergencies, voice is still best.
My sister's not breathing. Please hurry.
In the last 5 years, Hoosiers have used text capability in over 1 million 911 sessions. It's of great help to the deaf and speech impaired and to those in select dangerous situations. Thanks to the statewide 911 board, Indiana leads the nation with all 92 counties having in- and outbound text capability. For more, visit in911.net.
It's good to hear your voice. Help is on the way.
911. Before you text, voice is best.
Heat and cool places where ductwork won't fit using Mitsubishi electric ductless mini splits. You can even wrap them to match your decor.
Find out more at absolutecomfort.org.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com.
Matt Bear, what's going on with traffic?
All right, Nigel, southbound 65 stop-and-go traffic. MLK down to 21st. Delay on the eastbound 70 east side from Rural over to Sherman. Eastbound 70 on the west side, stop-and-go from Belmont to Meridian, Illinois. Northeast side, eastbound 465, stop-and-go Keystone Avenue to Allisonville Road, and inbound 69, slow 96 to 82nd. East side, northbound 465, slow through Lawrence Penpike up to 75th. Traffic sponsored by Drexel Interiors. Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's Design Centers at 146th Street and River Road or on North Shadeland. Online at drexelin.com. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
72 in the American Standard Cooling Weather Center on 93 WIBC.
You're listening to the Hammer and Nigel Show.
I'm Nigel, the gun guy. Guy Relford filling in for Hammer. I can't believe they're doing this. I mean, less than a year. You remember the Ocean Gate disaster?
Oh, yeah, the so-called Titan Submersible. Yeah, I remember that like it was yesterday.
Man, the Titan, that killed all 5 people on board.
Yep.
Trying to go down, I think they were trying to look at the Titanic, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The thing just kind of was piecemealed together, and it wasn't very, I don't know, it just imploded. They died instantly. I couldn't imagine a worse death. Just, ugh. So less than a year after that happened, in Ohio, another billionaire is planning another submarine voyage to the Titanic. His name's Larry. I didn't know a billionaire's named Larry. Larry Connor. He's some sort of real estate tycoon, has commissioned a 2-person submersible that's capable of reaching the Titanic. Plans to make the trips. He plans to make the trip with the designer. And they said that can be made safely, and insists the submarine is much higher quality than the Ocean Gate Titan, which was called a contraption. I think this is only a 2-person submersible. Yeah. But again, June 18th, we're creeping up on that anniversary of that whole thing, which was terrifying. Are you getting in any type of submersible to go down to look at the Titanic with a so-called billionaire?
Oh,
just has too much time on his hands?
No, absolutely not. You know, it's funny. You know, we're all built different. I mean, heights don't bother me. High speed doesn't bother me. There's so many things that don't bother me. But I'm a little bit claustrophobic. I might be a lot claustrophobic.
Are you kidding me? Yeah.
And when I'm looking at like the video of the Titan going back, that thing looked like a reinforced sewer pipe to me. I mean, I was not impressed. And that thing was literally controlled by a PlayStation controller. Did you see that coverage?
Yeah.
It was literally a PlayStation controller that they wired up to this thing. That's how they steered it. And I'm looking at that, and it was just like this pipe-looking thing. And yes, I understand it was reinforced. It was supposed to be able to withstand those pressures, but it ended up, getting squashed like a tin can. And that scares the hell out of me. So no, absolutely not. I love the stories of the Titanic. I would love to see really high quality pictures.
Watch the movie Titanic. They do it at the beginning. James Cameron really went down there.
Absolutely. Yeah. So do I want to go climb into this tiny little thing and go down there? Oh heck no. That's not anything I'm that interested in doing. And that gets the hair on the back of my neck up a little bit because I am a little claustrophobic.
We'll be right back. It's the Hammer and Nigel Show.
Slow network is no network for business. That's why more choose Comcast Business. And now we're introducing Ultimate Speed for Business, our fastest plans yet. We're up to 12 times faster than Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. And existing customers could even get up to triple the speeds at no additional cost. All from the company with 99.9% network reliability and advanced cybersecurity. It's Ultimate Speed from Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Don't miss out on our fastest speed plans yet. Get started with internet and security for $49 a month for 12 months with a 2-year contract when you add one unlimited mobile line. Plus, ask how to get up to an $800 prepaid card with a qualifying gig bundle. Call 1-800-501-6000 or visit ComcastBusiness.com to switch today. In 62324, restrictions apply. New customers only with 300 megabits per second internet and security edge. EcoBell and autopay required. Equipment, tax, and fees extra. Compares Comcast Business 1.25 gig to 100 megabit per second 5G internet at Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. Up to 3 times downloads for existing essential and standard customers.
Guy Relford here. Time again for the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show this coming weekend at the State Fairgrounds, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's never been a more important time to exercise our rights as true Americans. It's the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show. See the best in sporting, hunting, and personal protection gear, plus great displays of Americana. Come see us this weekend at the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show, Friday 2 to 7, Saturday 9 to 6, and Sunday 9 to 4. It's the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show. See you there.
Pat Sullivan here for Hope Plumbing. If you find yourself racing to finish your shower before the hot water beats you to the checkered flag, then it's time to consider a tankless water heater. During the month of May, my friends at Hope Plumbing are revving up their tankless deals. To celebrate the greatest spectacle in racing, install a tankless water heater and Hope Plumbing will take off $500. Let's go racing and start saving. Call Hope Plumbing or check their website at hopeplumbing.com for all their May deals.
Michaelis presents Password. The word is basement.
Wet. Rain.
Leaky.
Faucet.
Stinky.
Socks.
Moldy.
Underwear.
No, it's basement. Really moldy underwear.
Well, sometimes.
Ew. Basement waterproofing and French drains. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it.
Call today. Make it Michaelis. Michaelis.
Come on, take your basement back. 844-FIX-INDY.
When you use Bounce dryer sheets and your clothes look amazing, it's the sheet. Less static in your life? Yeah, it's the sheet. Smelling fresher than ever? It's the sheet. Oh, so soft fabric? Ooh la la. It's the sheet. Less wrinkles on your clothes? You know it's the sheet. Bounce dryer sheets. More freshness, more softness. Less static, less wrinkles. It's the sheet.
Our patient's most common regret statement? I just wish I would have done this sooner.
Find out more at adventknows.com because breathing well will help you live better.
You want to listen all day to WIBC, but you don't always have time. Don't worry. There's a podcast for that. The WIBC Mashup. Daily highlights from your favorite hosts, Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey, and Hammer and Nigel. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Arielle Winter. If you're anything like me, your pets are not only your best friends, they're part of your family. American Humane, which has been rescuing animals like Cleo here for more than 100 years, has life-saving tips that can make a big difference in a disaster. When disaster strikes, you want to protect your whole family, including your pets. To help keep your family safe and help our best friends in their worst times, find tips at AmericanHumane.org.
Coming up in 2 minutes, a man fatally shot by an IMPD officer in the northeast side. Police are looking for suspects in 3 different fatal wrecks in the last 24 hours. At a top 10 ranking for Indiana, but not for the best reason. That's coming up after Fox News Radio from the Technology Recycler Studios. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 4 o'clock.
Multiple objections from the defense. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News, as prosecutors make their closing argument at former President Trump's New York hush money trial, focusing in part on former attorney Michael Cohen after defense attacks on him during their close.
Prosecutors are really addressing Michael Cohen's credibility concerns, saying that former President Donald Trump picked Cohen and that they didn't pick Cohen as a witness. They only used him because they had to in this case. Joshua Steinglass with the Manhattan DA's office also said that Cohen is understandably angry because he's the only one that paid a price in this conspiracy to win the 2016 presidential election. Trump's lawyers objected to that, but were overruled.
Fox's Nate Foy at the courthouse. The judge has previously signaled Cohen's guilty plea in a previous case could not imply the former president's guilt. The former president isn't charged with election fraud or conspiracy. He's accused of falsifying business records to hide hush money reimbursements to his then attorney, Cohen. Democrats plan to renominate President Biden before the party's national convention to meet a deadline in Ohio.
The DNC is planning to use a virtual roll call, similar to the process used 4 years ago during the pandemic, to renominate President Biden and Vice President Harris for second terms. The maneuver would avoid running afoul of an Ohio ballot deadline requiring parties formally nominate a candidate by August 7th. The Democratic convention is August 19th to 22nd.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. Ohio lawmakers have moved the deadline before for candidates from both parties, but so far have not passed the required legislation. The Ohio governor has called a special session. Just getting word of more than 1 million customers without power in Texas after the latest round of destructive storms. A mixed finish on Wall Street. The Dow down 216 points, but the NASDAQ with a new record. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
He tried running from the cops. Cloudy and 72 degrees downtown. You got a clear radar with some rain chances coming into play later tonight while temperatures drop to the 50s. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending at 4:02. Indianapolis police had told their suspect to get on the ground, but he chose to run away. Donnie Burgess reports that's when police pulled the trigger.
One of the suspects involved in Tuesday's East Side carjacking refused to stop for IMPD. He tried to make it to the getaway car but was shot. That suspect later died at the hospital, says IMPD Chief Chris Bailey.
As is standard operating procedure, the officer has been placed on administrative leave and will be provided with wellness services to him and his family.
2 guns were found at the scene. One gun, found near the suspect, had a machine gun conversion device. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
There was a fatal hit and run involving a go-kart and an SUV last night.
One, it is a crime to have a crash and leave the scene. It's a misdemeanor.
IMPD Captain Don Wildheimer says it's even worse when it's a fatal wreck. There were 2 other fatal crashes between last night and this morning. IMPD says they're still looking for suspects in all 3. Several nurses at Ascension St. Vincent Hospital have decided to resign after a cyber attack disrupted operations. Justin Neisser claims poor morale hasn't helped either.
I think this was kind of the last straw with a lot of nurses here who seemed like they weren't getting a lot of support that they needed with administration. And many travelers have decided to not extend and renew their contract.
Neisser says delays are now commonplace at the hospital ever since the cyber attack. Indiana ranks in the top 10 for states with patients suing doctors over medical mistakes. Here's Ryan Hedrick.
Different types of medical errors like surgical mistakes, poor follow-up care, and neglect lead to medical malpractice cases. A law firm in Tennessee studied 33 years worth of data and found out that Indiana ranks 9th in the country for these cases. On average, Indiana doctors made less than 1 mistake each during that time. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
You're 1 minute away from traffic and weather. It's 4:04.
You love the summer
in Indy, so don't ruin it painting. Do what Judy did. She called Rhino Shield.
The house that Rhino Shield did for my husband and I, after having the house painted with kind of usual house paint, I was seeing cracks appearing about every 3 years and just wasn't very satisfied with that.
Rhino Shield's a ceramic coating specifically formulated for our unique climate.
I can't speak highly enough about the Rhino Shield crew. They also were great at working with me to get the exact right color because I was very particular.
Indy, you can get the 25-year guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield right now for 10% off the regular price.
I would not hesitate to call Rhino Shield, and I am just thrilled to recommend Rhino Shield to my friends and neighbors and family.
Here's Rhino Shield's Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
With traffic on the 5s at 4:05. How are the roads, Matt Bear?
It is a breakdown. Harrison on the northwest side. It's on southbound 465. Coming out of that 865 interchange, it's blocking the left lane right now, and that could cause a backup here before too long. We do have a backup on the northeast side. Eastbound 465 stopped Westfield Boulevard to Allisonville Road. Inbound 69 stop and go from 96 to 82nd. Northbound 465 slows after 70 through Lawrence up to East 56. And southbound 65 stop and go traffic from MLK to Meridian Penn. Traffic sponsored by Grand Appliance. Shop Grand Appliance for a huge selection of top appliance brands like Samsung and more at unbeatable prices. Learn more at grandappliance.com or your local showroom. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
And the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Low temperatures tonight into the mid-50s. A few showers and storms early on, but drying out in the forecast for tomorrow. High temperatures into the lower 70s. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
I'm Harrison Silcox on the level on the go and on WIBC.com.
Hammer and Nigel.
Can you believe these characters are weirdos?
So let's rock it.
Hello, my name is Nigel. Guy Relford, the gun guy, filling in for Jason Hammer. So immediately after getting inaugurated, we all know what Joe Biden did. He reversed all the work Trump did on the southern border. And it wasn't perfect during Trump's tenure, but he didn't get the wall all complete, but border crossings were at an all-time low, illegal crossings. So Joe Biden gets in, signs a bunch of executive orders, Guy, and immediately millions of grateful illegals flooding into this country, some of them wearing T-shirts that say, Biden, please let us in.
Right.
And this is me, call me crazy, but it wasn't out of the goodness of his heart. He wasn't releasing these people in this country to be free from oppression. Most of them were economic migrants, which is not a reason for asylum. It was to eventually turn these illegal border crossers into good little Democratic voters.
You bet. It was to ensure Democrats never lose another election.
Yeah, we'll get them in. We'll give them all the free health care, free schooling, load their debit cards up with thousands of dollars each month, and they'll be 100% reliant on the government and vote Democrat every time. Is that totally out of the realm of possibility?
Well, no. I mean, what else is the explanation? It doesn't make any sense to me because it's clearly not empathy. It's not, it's the liberals are really concerned about the welfare of these people because, by the way, when they get sent to places like Martha's Vineyard or New York City or San Francisco or whatever, the local politicians there, even though they are very proud of calling their cities sanctuary cities and very proud of supporting unlimited immigration.
Yeah, they don't want it. They don't want it in their city.
Suddenly they don't want them in their city. So it's not empathy. It's not caring about the welfare of these people. So what else is the explanation?
And I really think like a couple of the buses dropped them off in front of Kamala Harris's residence.
Right. Yeah.
What an ignoramus she is not to turn that into an opportunity. I always said, have tents set up outside your residence. Yeah. Have 1,000 pizzas set up for these people. Have, take donations. The optics could have been incredible. I'm just thinking as a left-wing progressive Democrat. And nobody did anything for these people. I think Martha's Vineyard, there was some woke people, but they could have put those people in those empty mansions there in Martha's Vineyard, much of which they're people's second homes there. They never did.
And what's it tell you that didn't happen?
Well, it says a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Actions speak louder than words. But if you think I'm lying, if it's not just me and you saying this, it's not just conservative talking heads on cable outlets saying this. On Friday, crying Chuck Schumer, senator out of New York, was talking to a bunch of reporters, and the subject of the border crisis came up. And old crying Chuck said the quiet part out loud, more or less saying, yes, we want to turn all illegal migrants into voters.
Now more than ever, we're short of workers. We have a population that is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are.
Now, he never mentions the exact idea of all these illegals voting, but what comes baked in with making somebody a citizen of the United States?
Yeah, path to citizenship is code for exactly what we're talking about.
He is saying the quiet part out loud that he wants to turn all illegal migrants into voters. And that stuff about the birth rate is nonsense. The birth rates have gone down in Western countries, but not nearly as much here in the United States. I mean, you look at the stats, it's not happening nearly as much as in the United States it is in other. I mean, that's for a different discussion. And by the way, Guy, you heard Schumer say 11 million illegals. That's a joke, right? If you remember this clip, I'm going to play this clip from last week. Marco Rubio, senator from Florida, he kind of depantsed Kristen Welker on NBC, one of those Sunday talking head shows, Sunday politics shows, on the notion that there's only 11 million illegals in this country.
If reelected, Donald Trump has said he's willing to build migrant detention camps and deploy the U.S. military to deport the more than 11 million undocumented immigrants in this country. It would be the largest deportation operation in American history. Do you support that plan?
11 million. That's an outdated. That was the number 10 years ago. We're talking upwards of 20, 25, maybe 30 million.
Well,
There's been almost 10 million people that have entered this country unlawfully in the last 3 years.
To the question, would you support it?
The number varies big time. I mean, it's another 9 to 10 million people just in the last 3 years. The answer to your question is yes. We cannot absorb 25, 30 million people who entered this country illegally. They're here illegally.
Yeah, the number 11 million is a joke.
It is a joke. And
a lot of those people are gotaways, too. 20 to 25 million. The gotaways are ones that we see coming into the country but don't identify, that don't use the app.
Well, exactly. And by the way, who thinks that all these people are just coming from Latin American countries, too? Have you seen some of the demographics of the people that they've detained and then let go, of course? But, I mean, they are coming in from China. They're coming from Middle East countries.
Yes.
I mean, we have an open border that's going to allow anyone. Look, are there some people coming into the U.S. to seek an opportunity and make a living? Of
course.
You bet. Of course there are. Are there also people coming here because they've been kicked out of their home countries? Are they coming here because they think they can make more of a lucrative living as a criminal here? Are they fleeing criminal prosecution in other countries? Absolutely. Are they here necessarily to do us harm on an ideological basis? I guarantee you that's happening right now, too. And when you don't secure the border, you're subjecting yourself to all those risks.
Something that struck me about that interaction with Kristen Welker from NBC and Marco Rubio. She's treating the notion, and Democrats are in general, that if Trump gets elected, he's going to deport illegal aliens on a mass scale, like the largest deportation plan ever. And she's acting as if that's some sort of threat. And the problem is, for Democrats, I don't think most Americans take that as a threat. I think they're taking it as a promise. I think they're like, okay, sign me up. Where do I vote? Does that make sense? Like she's saying, it's as if she's saying, oh, look what's going to happen. They're going to mass deport people that shouldn't be here. And I'm like, okay, yeah, and?
Well, it's another way of saying that if Trump's reelected, then he will enforce the law. Because what the law says is you may not come into the country unless you go through the process and come in legally. And if you come in illegally, then there are ramifications for that, one of which is to be deported. So, oh my God, if Trump's reelected, he's going to actually enforce the law as it currently exists. And there's no appetite for changing the law, apparently, among the Democrats. But at the same time, their whole platform is simply don't enforce the law as it exists in this country. And you know what? That essentially aiding and abetting the breaking of laws at the federal level right here in this country.
By the way, I mean, you want to talk about mass deportation, Obama during his administration? I mean, 12 million people were deported under more than Trump. Pivot real quick because I want to get to this survey. A new survey asked people if they feel more positive or negative as they age. What do you think? As you get older, Guy, are you more positive or are you turning into Clint Eastwood, get off my lawn?
Well, see, the get off my lawn quote is exactly what popped into my head when I saw this story.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I don't know that applies to me. I think I'm generally pretty positive.
Sure.
And I'm positive about most things.
18% of people say their mood has become a lot more positive as they've aged. 26% say they're generally more positive. Only 5% think they're becoming a lot more negative.
Yeah, in positive versus negative, I think what you learn as you get older, Nige, is that you tend to focus on those things you can control and focus less on those things that are not in your control, and that generally makes you a happier person.
Well, the survey also asked these people what they have felt the most irritated about recently. Here are the top 10. Number 1, grocery prices.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, that's up there. Number 2, politicians. No surprise. Someone else is driving.
Oh, Lord.
Crowds. Oh, boy. That's, yeah. I don't do big crowds anymore. Yeah. I the Indy 500 last year was great. I had a blast, but big crowds, whew. I don't know if I could have stayed the entire time on Sunday, Guy. I'll be quite honest with you. Standing under a bridge for 3 hours, waiting for the...
It's such a great culture out there, though. It's such a great party atmosphere. You'd have been right there, Nige.
I know.
No, I know you well enough. You'd have been right in the middle of it, and you'd have had a great time.
The survey says what people have felt most irritated about recently. Grocery prices, politicians, someone else is driving, crowds, weather, customer service, social media trends, the tipping culture.
What? No.
Like if you go into a Subway and order a turkey footlong, and they ask you if you want a 15% tip.
Oh, yeah. When I order something on the internet, there's a little thing there that says, can I tip? And I'm like, what? What? Hold on. It's not a restaurant. I just ordered a widget. You're going to put a widget in a box and send it to me. Who the hell am I tipping?
Number 10 on this is the TV volume being too loud. I turn it up so loud when I'm watching shows, and I watch it with closed captioning.
Oh, yeah.
I've been watching this Guy Ritchie produced series on Netflix called The Gentleman. It's incredible.
Oh, no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
They're all, it's a British series, and it's I can't understand what they're saying half the time. We have to watch it with the closed captioning on. That's total guy in his 40s move.
Yeah, but really, on the volume issue, though, Nigel, I'm right there with you because, years ago, my wife would walk into a room where I was, and the first thing would be, "Hi, honey." And now when she walks into a room where I am, it's, "Can you turn that down?" It's pretty much the first words out of her mouth are, "Can you please turn that down?"
Oh, Matt Bear, what's going on with traffic?
All right, fellas, northbound 465, northwest side, stop and go. 86 up to 865. Westbound 465, dragging down from Meridian past Michigan Road. I do have a stall reported in the area, blocking the left lane. Eastbound 465, a grind after Meridian over to Allisonville Road. And northbound 465 over in Lawrence, a little bit slow from Penn Pike up to 75th. Southbound 65, full house, MLK to Meridian Penn, and eastbound 70, stop and go traffic from Tibbs Avenue into the South Split. Delay continues up to the Washington Street exit. And on the southwest side, southbound 465, stop and go from 70 to the White River. Traffic sponsored by Allstate. Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate and not one based on anyone else. Visit allstate.com or call for a quote today. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
Coming up at the bottom of this hour, Kevin Bowen, our buddy from the Wake Up Call with KB and Andy mornings on 107.5 The Fan. I want to get his thoughts on the Pacers season, his assessment of whether the Pacers exceeded expectations or did they meet expectations, and just his thoughts on the season, the postseason, the highs, the lows. That's a little bit after 4:30 with Kevin Bowen. Coming up next, it's Is This Anything right now. 72 at the American Standard Cooling Weather Center on 93 WIBC. I think one of the things I love most about my brand new Galaxy concrete garage floor coating is not only that it's super easy to clean and maintain, plus it's got like a lifetime warranty, which you probably won't even need. My favorite thing is that like it's become a meeting place, a hangout for my neighbors and my kids. Got the TV in there, the beer fridge, and a beautiful, super clean, glossy concrete garage floor coating from Galaxy Concrete Garage Floor. It's out of this world. You got to check out their website, get a quote, GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com, or call their office, 317-751-9070. Tell them Nigel sent you.
When you use Bounce dryer sheets and your clothes look amazing, it's the sheet. Less static in your life? Yeah, it's the sheet. Smelling fresher than ever? It's the sheet. Oh, so soft fabric? Ooh la la. It's the sheet. Less wrinkles on your clothes? You know it's the sheet. Bounce dryer sheets. More freshness, more softness. Less static, less wrinkles. It's the sheet.
Save big this Memorial Day at Lowe's. Right now, save on 1.5-gallon annual hanging baskets. Get 2 for just $16. Plus, buy one, get one 50% off. Select interior and exterior paint and exterior stain via Lowe's gift card rebate. Shop these deals before they're gone, because Lowe's knows summer savings. Valid through 5/29. Hanging baskets in-store only. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Actual plant size and selection varies by location. Paint. More terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/rebates for details while supplies last.
Hey, Pat Sullivan here for Hope Plumbing. This month, Hope Plumbing is celebrating 17 years in the plumbing business, and they want to thank all of you. 17 years has been possible because of customers who are like family. Your support, your loyalty, and your trust has shaped Hope Plumbing into who they are today. As a thank you during the month of May, if you're willing to refer Hope Plumbing to a friend or a family member, they'll send you a $100 gift card to a local restaurant. Give them a call at 641-HOPE. That's 641-HOPE.
Hey, you've been hearing us talk about Jay's Lobster and Fish Market in the Garage Food Hall in the Bottle Works District downtown Indy. They specialize in those lobster rolls, and, you know, it's a New England-style seafood shack. Everything lobster. And now try the new hot honey-fried lobster roll. So delicious.
Also in the Garage Food Hall in the Bottle Works District, Palavana Cubano. The best Cuban food in Indy, and the Cuban Reuben, it's the GOAT. Palavana Cubano. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
This hour on 93 WIBC, powered by Absolute Comfort, your American Standard Mitsubishi electric ductless mini splits dealer.
Hammer and Nigel presents
It depends upon what the meaning of the word is.
Is this anything?
All right, let's rock and roll.
Guy Relford filling in for Hammer. I'm Nigel. Guy, you know how this works, right?
You betcha.
Hammer usually gives me a bunch of stories. I tell him if they're anything or not. I'm going to throw some at you this time, all right?
Absolutely.
Reverse the roles over here. The world's most arrested man is what they call him. Henry Earl has died this week. At 74 years old, he was arrested more than 1,500 times, mostly for public disorderly conduct, public order offenses. Here is Henry getting sentenced for his 1,000th arrest back in the day, and the judge deciding to give him 1,000 days of jail on the occasion.
For your anniversary, we'll give you 1,000 days. Don't you think that's appropriate?
No, sir. It's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time, but you can do it.
No, sir, I can't.
Well, just do the best you can.
No, sir.
Well, we'll see you Thursday and see if you like it then, okay?
Sounds like Morgan Freeman there, the judge sentencing him to 1,000 days. The world's most arrested man dying this week, 74 years old, 1,500 arrests under his belt. Is this anything?
Well, I don't know how they keep those statistics. I mean, I'm waiting for somebody to come out of the woodwork and going, "Oh no, I got 1,600." You know, I mean,
well, you could probably find somebody like that right here in Indy with this
exactly.
prosecutor.
You know, the first thought I had was I'm not sure I'm going to get the name right, but who was the drunk in the old Andy Griffith series? Was it Otis? Was Otis the drunk? And
that's a question for JMV. He would know something like that.
And
let me type that in while you go. Drunk in what?
And you know, Otis would get drunk. It was Andy Griffith. I think it's Otis. And
what, do you know Allison?
Oh, I know. I'm an Andy Griffith fan. So yes.
Oh, okay,
Otis
I got
would
that
come
right.
in all the time. Yeah.
Okay.
So they back in the Andy Griffith show depicted a drunk.
Yeah, there was a neighborhood drunk named Otis, and Otis he basically lived in the jail because he would get drunk. And he would wander over to the jail, and he'd walk in and open the door and go in and go to sleep and be in there snoring for most of the episode is usually how that worked. And that's exactly what I thought of here, which is this guy is using the jail as auxiliary living arrangements. And, you know, just like Otis did back in Andy Griffith. That's exactly the thought I had.
The reference is incredible.
Allison, am I wrong on that? Isn't that how that worked?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Are you still a regular watcher of the Andy Griffith show?
I haven't watched it in a while, but always good reruns. But yeah, he's right. Yep, town drunk.
A guy in SUV in Los Angeles exploded after the driver lit a cigarette near some propane canisters he had stored inside his vehicle. The dude was living in the vehicle, as a matter of fact. Suffered minor injuries. You'll hear the explosion and then some witnesses.
I just put the key in my door. I heard the explosion. I've heard transformers go off. I've heard, little stuff going off, but this sounded really big.
I found a piece of the car from the explosion from last night. It sounded like something heavy fell on top of the roof.
Sitting on the side, clothes were a little bit shredded. No burn marks.
Yeah, that'll do it. Lighting a cigarette with some leaking propane tanks in your car. Is this anything?
Well, it is, and it only is because, look, we shouldn't ever be too impressed at the level of stupidity that we see out there among our fellow human beings. But here, this guy's living in the car, and then he's got propane containers within the car, which probably means he's using them to cook or stay warm or whatever it is within the car. And you can argue that not particularly well ventilated place for the use of propane.
Noxious gas.
And it's a noxious gas, and you could argue that's not particularly smart. But now, on top of all of that, what are you going to do? You're going to add ignition to the whole process. You're going to light a cigarette in the car where you're using propane. And look, I'm generally unimpressed with the level of stupidity among our fellow human beings, but this is an impressive level of stupidity.
But
right
I see it at least a few times a year. I'll be pumping gas, and I'll look over somewhere at another gas pump, and this guy's just
smoking a cigarette.
Oh, yeah, smoking a cigarette like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Like there's not fumes or an ash. A simple hot ash could just ignite the whole place.
Yeah.
Have you heard the rumor? Like, I don't know if this is true or not. They say you're not supposed to get, like, if it's cold outside and you're filling up your tank, you're not supposed to get back in your vehicle because static electricity could build up and it could set fire and ignite something while you're pumping gas.
I have absolutely. I have absolutely heard that. And I put that right there in the same category as my cell phone's going to crash the airplane if I leave it on too long. I'm sorry. There are just certain things that when you tell me, I just look at you and go, no, that's not correct.
Okay.
That's never going to, it's never happened in the history of the universe. You're telling me there's some potential. I'm telling you that's BS. No.
All right. It's the Hammer and Nigel Show. Hey, Hammer Nigel here for your Central Indiana American Standard Mitsubishi Electric Elite Ductless Pro Dealer. That's Absolute Comfort. Absolute Comfort specializes in Mitsubishi Electric Ductless Mini Splits. They're the diverse systems that can be mounted on your wall or flush with the ceiling, and they heat and cool at very efficient levels, and they can be used to heat or cool specific rooms without the duct work, which ends up being a very clean way to heat and cool your home, business, or even your garage.
These high-tech units are how most of the world heats
heats and cools their homes and offices. These Mitsubishi electric ductless systems have advancements that can sense when a person is in a room and can warm or cool that room to that person's wishes. For the ultimate in efficiency and comfort, contact Chris Wedekin at Absolute Comfort to find out more. AbsoluteComfort.org. AbsoluteComfort.org. Absolute Comfort is your American Standard Mitsubishi Electric Elite Ductless Pro dealer. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Get out fast, get cash, sell your home in a flash. The IndyHomebuyer.com. No inspection, no fuss. We only need to see it once. The IndyHomebuyer.com. Problem properties, tenants don't pay. Just hand us the keys and your problems go away. Get out fast, get cash, sell your home in a flash. The IndyHomebuyer.com. Get out fast, get cash, sell your home in a flash. The IndyHomebuyer.com.
No matter your reason for selling, theindyhomebuyer.com will pay cash for your house in any condition. If you're dealing with deadbeat tenants, big repairs, or inheritance, theindyhomebuyer.com is the solution. No hassle, no inspections. Theindyhomebuyer.com.
Get out fast, get cash, sell your home in a flash. The IndyHomebuyer.com. Get out fast, get cash, sell your home in a flash. The IndyHomebuyer.com.
When life happens, Michelis happens to help you through it. That includes water, storms, fire, and the whole insurance mess. Working hand in hand with the claims adjuster, Michelis is your advocate, your voice, your local trusted advisor for cleaning up, building back, and moving forward when disaster strikes. Now that is an insurance policy. Make it Michelis. Call 844-FIX-INDY.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
It all started with a stolen car. You've got a clear radar with just a few clouds downtown and maybe some rain tonight with low temps touching the 50s. Currently 73 in the Circle. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending at 4:30. This morning was the 6th shooting in Indianapolis this year that involved a police officer.
As is standard operating procedure, the officer has been placed on administrative leave and will be provided with wellness services to him and his family.
IMPD Chief Chris Bailey says it started with a carjacking on the northeast side. He believes the officer shot the suspect who later died at a hospital. No one else was hurt. Bailey says there's still a lot of investigating left to do. The State Department wants an investigation into the Israeli strike in Rafah over the weekend that killed several Palestinians.
As soon as the United States saw reports of this incident, we reached out to the government of Israel to express our deep concern over what happened, ask for more information, and urge them to undertake a full investigation.
State Department spokesman Matthew Miller says Israel needs to keep civilians safe if it's going to carry out operations in southern Gaza. David DePape, the man who attacked Paul Pelosi, has been re-sentenced.
A federal judge sentencing him to 30 years in prison, apologizing for the error of not allowing him to speak at his original sentencing hearing. The 44-year-old was convicted of attempted kidnapping of a U.S. official and assault on a family member of a U.S. official, admitting to breaking into former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's home in 2022 and bludgeoning her husband Paul with a hammer.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. You might see some isolated storms this evening.
And then we have dry weather expected from Wednesday all the way through Friday.
Jason Puma with the National Weather Service says some storms are possible again this weekend, but he doesn't expect anything severe at this point. At the closing bell, the Dow finishing down by 216 to 38,852. The NASDAQ up by 99 to 17,019, at the S&P 500 increasing by a point, finishing today at 5,306. You're 1 minute away from traffic and weather. It's 4:32.
According to a 2023 Gallup poll, 71% of non-retired adults are worried about retirement saving. At Howard Bailey Financial, we don't believe retiring with confidence should be guesswork. In fact, our mission is to help you gain clarity and purpose and elevate meaning in your life through personal and practical financial strategies. That's why we provide our Retire with Purpose toolkit at no cost. In it, you'll find valuable information on minimizing taxes, maximizing Social Security, and building a retirement income you won't outlive. To receive your complimentary toolkit, text CLARITY to 866-482-9559. Take a step toward a more confident retirement with Howard Bailey Financial and text CLARITY to 866-482-9559.
This endorsement was not provided by a client of Howard Bailey. This individual was compensated for this endorsement. For more information, visit howardbailey.com/TS1.
With traffic at 433, how are the roads, Matt Bear?
All right, Harrison, look at the northbound 465 stop and go from 86th Street up to 865. Eastbound 465 is stopped after Meridian over to Allisonville Road. Southbound 65 stop and go from MLK to Meridian Pettit. Eastbound 70 completely loaded right now. Holt Road into Meridian, Illinois. Southwest side slow on southbound 465 before 70 to the White River. Crash north side 91st at Meridian. Another crash at 38th at Arlington. That's a hit and run, and a crash Westfield Boulevard north of Kessler. Somebody could be hurt in that. Traffic sponsored by Drexel Interiors. Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's Design Centers at 146th Street and River Road or North Shadeland, online at drexelin.com. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
And the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Low temperatures tonight into the mid-50s. A few showers and storms early on, but drying out in the forecast for tomorrow. High temperatures into the lower 70s. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
I'm Harrison Silcox on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
It's the Hammer and Nigel show. Guy Relford filling in for Jason Hammer. My name is Nigel. The Indiana Pacers swept out of the Eastern Conference Finals by the Boston Celtics. Final score last night at Cambridge, 105-102. Here to break it down, the wake-up call with KB and Andy. It's Kevin Bowen. That show morning 7 to 10 on our sister sports talk station, 107.5 The Fan. KB, Pacers overall thoughts on the season, postseason. Is it fair to say they exceeded expectations, or are you like, no, wait a minute, we kind of knew this was coming? How deep in the playoffs they made it?
Yeah, in the preseason, I thought 45 wins, 5 or 6 seeds.
Okay.
So, to that point, they obviously checked that box, but then certainly in the playoffs, for a team that hadn't won a playoff series in 10 years, hadn't won a playoff game in 6 years, to win 2 series and to win 8 playoff games, you obviously overachieved in that area. Where I think it's important content, and it was time. I mean, hell, I just said it was time to get back to winning all of that. But I think now it's important as you flip that page to the off season. You can't be content and thinking you fall out of bed and you get to Eastern Conference Finals on an annual basis.
Right.
Now you've got to sustain, continue to build, and make sure that this is not the outlier. You did catch some injury breaks. There's no denying that. So I think when you build, make sure you act like you caught injury breaks. So you still have kind of that urgency and that hunger to want to continue to try and add around Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah, what's the major component? And we'll drill down into some of these games and blown leads and blowouts here in just a second. But is it Pascal Siakam? Is that the main concern in the offseason, getting that guy re-signed?
Yeah, that's usually the biggest question. We had Rick Carlisle on our morning show today, and he mentioned that being the top priority. I think some other things you got to factor in is, he is into his 30s. He is going to command likely a contract around $200 million north of that.
Wow.
Is he worth that type of contract? Now, some would say you're kind of pot committed. You already traded 3 first-round picks for him, so there probably is a good amount of truth to that as well. But I think that's an internal conversation. It sounds like the Pacers won't have much of one, but I do think that's one you have to have because it is going to create a whole different cap situation for you moving forward. The addition of one more star, Rick Carlisle mentioned that to us as well. Does that come internally? Is that Benedict Mathurin as he comes off that injury that he suffered late in the year? Can you go out and try to get that guy? If you do, you're going to have to give up, some of your young pieces. So I think that will be another interesting angle to this offseason as well.
So in terms of the playoffs, the breakout Pacers that you saw come out of nowhere, maybe Nembhard, obviously Pascal, Halliburton had some good games, but Nembhard, especially the past couple of games, was a star.
Yeah, I think you got to start there. I mean, certainly what you put on his plate when Halliburton went down in Game 2 was a lot. And you know what? He played like he kind of played like Halliburton in that, not only does he run the show, but he also was your leading scorer, which was so vital for you. The odd thing about it is, obviously when Halliburton's healthy, Nembhard is not running the show. He's not handling the basketball. So, kind of how do you view him as that starting shooting guard moving forward? I think he's a really quality player, but is he best suited to be more of a point guard? And if so, are there teams out there calling for him? And, do you sit there and think, all right, we would lose a lot by trading him away, but could you improve and add like a wing defender or, somebody that's a little bit more better suited like that? I think these are all fascinating questions, again, the Pacers have. None of them are obvious, and none of them have clear answers. But certainly Nembhard's presence in the playoffs, hat tip to him. I think hat tip to T.J. McConnell. He just continues to do it. Those two probably stood out to me the most individually.
All right, let's. I got to talk negative here for a second. The two Bs, I call them blowouts and blown leads. Kind of a theme throughout the both series with the Pacers. Is that? I mean, I saw it happen in other games, in other West Conference, Western Conference, Eastern Conference. I saw that kind of thing happen, blownouts and blown leads. But is that a function of the NBA and the way the game is played, or were there some real problems? Because I felt like going into Game 4 last night, the Pacers could have been 2-1 against Boston. It very easily could have been 2-1. But blownouts and blown leads were kind of a theme with this team.
Yeah, I would say the Pacers closed games about as well as I tried to close at the Broad Ripple bars back in the day. So, just painful. I mean, Game 1, you literally peed down your leg. Game 3, I thought it was both ends of the floor. You blow the 18-point lead. You're up 8 with 2:30 to go. You can't get a stop and you can't get a bucket. And then last night, it was probably more offensively. You didn't score in the final 3:30 of the game. And, that kind of gets back to the Siakam thing of, if you're paying a guy $200 million, you want him to be able to, in those moments, get you a bucket. And, he is a great, gifted offensive talent, but I thought was too quiet when you really needed him. So, part of that is, not having your star, certainly in Halliburton. But again, and maybe even Mathurin is a really gifted scorer as well. But, I think that's a question you have to ask yourself moving forward. And then, again, I go back to defensive rebounding. I just saw a stat today. The Pacers are the only bottom 10 defensive team in the league to make the playoffs.
Oh, wow.
So they really were an outlier. So I know it's not the sexiest thing in the world, but I think still having that defensive rebounding mindset with some of your pieces is critical as well.
Speaking with Kevin Bowen, part of the KB and Andy, part of the Wake Up Call with KB and Andy, mornings from 7 to 10 on 107.5 The Fan. What you mentioned Halliburton. Is he going to be able to play in the Olympics with this? What is it? A hamstring injury? I mean, that's coming up. Yeah. That's creeping up on us here in a couple months, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we're only about 2 months away. Rick Carlisle did say with us today that he expects Tyrese to play. So, again, the thing about the Olympics, it's not like you're asking him to play 35 minutes a game.
Sure.
In all likelihood, he would just be a rotational guy off the bench. And but certainly, him kind of, getting that corralled. Benedict Mathurin, with that shoulder injury, it sounds like he'll be cleared in August. Those are a couple of kind of health things to keep an eye on there. But Halliburton, I thought, had played better, in the playoffs, really right before that injury. That's why it was such a bummer. I thought it was one of his best stretches in a while. But, certainly mixing in the rest and recovery is paramount for him because those hamstrings were definitely nagging for him and clearly impacted him at some level in the final few months of the season.
And what an incredible month overall for Race fans, for Pacer fans. I know it didn't end the way the Pacers fans would have liked. At least they didn't lose to New York, though. I'm still happy about that. I'm still happy that they got past New York. But, that race yesterday, unprecedented, wasn't it? I mean, a 4-hour delay. They empty out the track, and within the snap of a finger, that place filled back in. I got to tell you, if I was out there standing underneath the bridge, I'm like, all right, screw it, I'm going home. But they filled that place back up. Your thoughts on what you saw overall in terms of the crowd and in terms of that crazy finish?
A couple things stood out to me, Nigel. When I got to my seats at about 3:35, 3:40, right before driver intros, I just looked across that vast venue and could not believe how few, I should say, empty seats I saw.
Yes.
I mean, it was just amazing to me. I guess there's a proverb, maybe it was the book of the Coke lot. Good things come to those who wait. And I don't think it's hyperbole to say at all. It was one of the greatest Indy 500s we've had. And, I've made sure I've thrown that question to people that have much more experience than I do
to
answer that. And they kind of nod their head at it. when you think about all the crazy cautions we had in the first 100 laps, and then we get this long kind of green flag running the final 50, and just some unbelievable thrilling and daring passes from those up at the top. And you know what? We're almost numb to it in the last decade, Nigel. We've had these incredible finishes.
Yes.
That's not always been the case with the 500. And, I was saying to somebody, you think about Newgarden's pass on Pato O'Ward, obviously, at turn 3 there in the final lap. Pato passed Newgarden right at the start-finish line prior to that. And so if you just kind of think about that, in an 800-turn race and a 500-mile race, you had 2 passes for the lead in the last, 4 or 5 turns.
Incredible.
There's no way that's ever happened in the history of the 500. So, to me, again, just incredibly thrilling and very daring from, especially Pato O'Ward and Joseph Newgarden.
Hey, he is Kevin Bowen from the Wake Up Call with KB and Indy morning 7 to 10 on our sister sports talk station, 107.5 The Fan. KB, have a great week, man. Get some rest. I know you were out there all weekend long. What an incredible month of May it's been, and we'll talk to you soon.
Gotta love it. Pacers and Racers are back, Nige. Thanks for having me, man.
It's the Hammer and Nigel show. Hammer, what if I told you could get a 15% upfront bonus on your money and a competitive return that's averaged 7% a year for the past 10 years?
I'm all about the upfront bonus money because I bet on the Pacers the last 2 games, and I could use that 15% upfront bonus money. And Bill Demery, your retirement guy, my retirement guy here in Indy, he's the one that can help you out with that.
Yeah, 50% upfront and a competitive return that's averaged 7% a year for the past decade. Bill Demery, and look, there's lots of advisors on this station, but the one we put our name on, the advisor we trust, it's Bill Demery, your retirement guy.
And when you meet with Bill, and I know this because I've done it, he will explain things in a way that makes sense. So call Bill Demery today. 317-648-5120. Ask about that upfront bonus. 317-648-5120. Past performance is no guarantee of future returns.
Hey, it's Rob from my friends at the Bath Authority. If your bath or shower is old, outdated, has mold and mildew, or broken tiles, you gotta call the Bath Authority. The Bath Authority provides the highest quality bathroom remodeling products along with a world-class customer experience. What that means to you is your project will be low maintenance, resistant to mold and mildew, easy to clean, and last for decades. The Bath Authority does it all. Walk-in tubs, replacement showers, tub-to-shower conversions, and more. And listen to this incredible deal going on at the Bath Authority. Call today, 317-532-5711, and get $1,500 off a new shower or bath, plus 36 months of interest-free financing. That's right, 317-532-5711, and you get $1,500 off a new shower or bath, plus 36 months of interest-free financing. Restrictions apply. TheBathAuthority.com. TheBathAuthority.com. A better bath awaits.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-296-1251. 800-296-1251. That's 800-296-1251. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
911, what's your emergency?
Por favor, necesito ayuda. Está volando y creo que me va a pegar otra vez.
I will get someone to speak with you. Please stay on the line.
Hola, tenemos su ubicación. Ayuda está en camino.
Getting past a language barrier is critical when first responders help Hoosiers. That's why the State 911 Board provides special tools for non-English speaking citizens to communicate with emergency services.
Si estás en peligro, aunque no hables inglés, podrás recibir ayuda en una emergencia rápidamente.
All Indiana 911 centers began offering translation services in over 240 languages in 2019. Now, people can send text messages for help in their native language to 911 and receive a translated text back from the dispatcher. It's of great help to the deaf and speech impaired and to those in select dangerous situations.
Cuando llame o envíe un texto al 911, un servicio de traducción se asegurará que entiendan lo que está diciendo.
For more information, visit in911.net.
Gracias.
911. Before you text, voice is best.
Heat and cool with nearly geothermal efficiency in places you can't fit ductwork with Mitsubishi electric ductless mini splits.
Just go to AbsoluteComfort.org. That's AbsoluteComfort.org.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com.
Never miss your favorite shows on WIBC. Get your content to go. Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey, Hammer and Nigel, Tony Kennett, The Gun Guy, Home and Garden. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Matt Bear, what's going on with traffic?
Nigel, eastbound 70 on the west side. Crash reported of Belmont. This has a stop past Holt Road. And still a little bit of slow on eastbound 70 from downtown West Street into the south is split. Now on the north side, eastbound 465, an absolute grind this afternoon after Meridian over to Allisonville Road. East side, northbound 465 slows after 70 up to 71st. Into downtown, southbound 65 stop and go from 29th to Meridian Penn. Southwest side, southbound 465 stop and go before 70 to the White River. Crash on the south side. This is Raymond Street east of Emerson Avenue. Another one, Southport Road west of McFarland. Crash on the east side, 38th at Arlington, and a crash on the north side at 91st at Meridian. Traffic sponsored by Drexel Interiors. Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's Design Centers at 146th Street and River Road on North Shadeland, online at DrexelIN.com. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for its traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
Yeah, 73 at the American Standard Cooling Weather Center on 93 WIBC.
You're listening to the Hammer and Nigel Show.
A couple of things here. Allison, do not let me exit this segment without giving away tickets to the USA Swimming Olympic Trials. Okay, we've got tickets to that coming up, so don't let me leave this segment. Also, Guy Relford filling in for Jason Hammer here, coming up after a little bit after 5 o'clock. It's funny, after months of saying politics had nothing to do with this Donald Trump trial
Right. Yeah, exactly.
in Manhattan, Biden's people showed up outside the courthouse and made a campaign event out of a trial day for President Trump involving a major Hollywood celebrity. It was a joke. I'll have all the audio coming up after 5 o'clock. I failed to mention, I guess I didn't even know Bill Walton was sick. NBA Hall of Famer Bill Walton dying yesterday. He was 71 years old, battling cancer. I didn't even know he had cancer. Maybe that was public knowledge. Maybe it wasn't. But Bill was a star at UCLA, won a couple of national championships.
Then won a couple of NBA championships.
One with the Blazers and one with the Celtics in the 70s and 80s. And then after his career, he became a basketball and baseball commentator. Also a huge fan of the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
Tie-dye T-shirts. And wasn't afraid to speak of his affinity for the ganj.
Yeah, exactly.
Getting high.
The 7-foot hippie. I mean, that was a fun part of his character.
What were you telling me off the air? Was he on the call for the Reggie Miller New York?
Yeah, when we were talking about Bill Walton, my first comment was my most clear memory of him historically, other than winning championships at UCLA for John Wooden and whatnot, was he was on the call during the 1994-95 playoffs when Reggie Miller scored 8 points in 8.9 seconds against the Knicks and ended up winning. And it was interesting because Walton had been down on the Pacers the whole game. And he kept saying, the Pacers just can't compete with the Knicks for this reason, and they can't compete with the Knicks for the other reason.
Right.
And it was just one of those national broadcasters that, are always down on the small market teams. And so I'm getting riled up about Walton's call. And then at the end, when Pacers had kept it close, but clearly we're going to lose, or at least we thought, until Reggie's heroics, he's saying, well, the Pacers really, lost an opportunity here. And all of a sudden to watch Reggie score those 8 points in 8.9 seconds and
Pacers win the game in the playoffs, and Walton was just dumbfounded. And listen, I'm not speaking ill of the guy. I think he did a nice job for NBC and any other broadcasters he worked with. He's obviously a tremendous Hall of Famer as a basketball player, but I just really stuck in my mind that I kind of enjoyed it when he had to eat crow a little bit when Reggie was as heroic as he was.
This brings us to great moments in the late Bill Walton history. There were very awkward moments throughout his broadcast career. Here's Bill Walton asking his play-by-play guy that he's doing the game with about his cat during a game.
Have you ever seen a dog and a cat fight?
Yes.
Who wins in your household? How's Baxter doing?
He died 3 years ago.
Sorry to hear that.
Bill obviously knew the name of the cat of his partner, but Bill, he died a few years ago.
You think there was any?
Sorry.
You think there was any cannabis involved in that discussion? Perhaps?
Well, speaking of cannabis and Bill's affinity for such, here's Bill Walton telling his broadcast partner about he was throwing out the first pitch at a baseball game.
And I warmed up magnificently. I was hot.
Did they give you advice? Did they tell you to throw it high?
No.
They did. That's the advice. So,
I don't need any direction to get high, okay?
Well, that's true.
And finally, great moments in Bill Walton history. Here's Bill Walton chewing out, again, his play-by-play partner during COVID, calling a UCLA basketball game with an empty gym.
You're asking me? Well, you are the analyst. I don't have anybody else to ask. There's no one else in the building. Remember, there's no fans here except
I'm tired
family members.
I'm tired of your complaints about that.
Look, there's no complaining. It's just stating a fact. The people that might be tuning in that don't know.
These are. Oh yeah. There's a pandemic going on. Please, there's public health issues.
Through January 21st, there will not be fans at indoor venues at UCLA as Harmon gets the bucket, but
there's not fans in the building because people are dying of COVID. Okay, and people are concerned about that.
That's why I was explaining why they're
okay. I was just
not having fans here.
Are you part of the problem or the solution?
Oh, for God's sake. There you go. Great moments in Bill Walton history. All right, I'm getting the sign held up at me. What are we giving away? Okay, USA Swimming Olympic Trial tickets. Goes to denied caller 239-9393, a family 4-pack to view the evening finals of the USA Swimming Olympic Trials at Lucas Oil in June. If you think that'd be pretty cool to take the fan to, be caller 9-239-9393. We'll be back. Hey, if you think you're too busy to exercise and be healthy, think again. I felt that way when I started training at Exercise Inc. Exercise Inc. is where you show up once a week for a private 20-minute workout. That's all it takes, 20 minutes. It's helped me get stronger, build muscle, and lose a few pounds. It's a private studio. There's no mirrors, there's no music, and no spandex. I mean, I realize I look better, but I don't look good in spandex. It's just you and your coach. Again, it's once a week. You go for your private 20-minute workout. Also, your coach will help you with the 9 simple habits you need to follow to change your health and lose weight, and some of the stuff you need to do outside the gym to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Exercise Inc. is perfect for somebody that doesn't have a lot of time, somebody that doesn't feel comfortable going to those big box gyms. This is private. It's quick. It's a tough workout, but it's safe enough that anyone could do it. 5 locations, Avon, Brownsburg, Greenwood. I go to the one in Zionsville, and now there's a new one in Fishers. ExerciseInc.com. Tell them Nigel sent you.
Lynn just loves the summer in Indy, but she's not going to spend it painting. She called Rhino Shield.
It is a single-wide manufactured home. We moved from our home, which we had the Rhino Shield on. Rhino Shield was what we were going to do. That was no question. We knew we were going to do it.
Rhino Shield's a ceramic coating. It's not paint, it's better.
The Rhino Shield representative came, and we discussed what we wanted done. And this time, we had the roof done as well.
Now you can have the 25-year guaranteed protection of Rhino Rhino Shield for 10% off the regular price.
Even the people that have been a little younger than us have said they don't have to worry about getting just an everyday painter because Rhino Shield has the 25-year warranty, and we truly believe in this product.
Here's Rhino Shield's Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino!
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hey, Pat Sullivan here for Hope Plumbing. This month, Hope Plumbing is celebrating 17 years in the plumbing business, and they want to thank all of you. 17 years has been possible because of customers who are like family. Your support, your loyalty, and your trust has shaped Hope Plumbing into who they are today. As a thank you during the month of May, if you're willing to refer Hope Plumbing to a friend or a family member, they'll send you a $100 gift card to a local restaurant. Give them a call at 641-HOPE. That's 641-HOPE.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code MONTHFREE by May 31st. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
L.D. Smith Plumbing.
A dirty, stinking honest.
When plumbing problems arise, you need them fixed fast and right. The L.D. Smith Plumbing crew knows how to put water in its place. We do it all, from the kitchen sink to delicate repairs in historic homes, and we'll always give you honest advice at a fair price. So if you're worried about the cost of plumbing repairs, call today for a free second opinion on a competitor's estimate.
L.D. Smith Plumbing.
A dirty, stinking honest.
Coming up in 2 minutes, an IMPD officer shot a carjacking suspect on the northeast side. Donnie Burgess will have that story. 3 people killed in 3 separate fatal wrecks in the last 24 hours. And when it could rain again in central Indiana. That's coming up after Fox News Radio from the Technology Recycler Studios. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 5 o'clock.
An underlying crime on Lisa Brady, Fox News. That's what prosecutor Josh Steinglass is detailing during closing arguments at former President Trump's New York trial. He's charged with falsifying business records, but accused of engaging in a conspiracy with the tabloid publisher and then attorney Michael Cohen to suppress negative stories ahead of the 2016 election.
Steinglass also told the jury that non-disclosure agreements are legal, but not when they constitute unlawful campaign contributions. Prosecutors will have to prove that Trump paid off Stormy Daniels to influence the 2016 election, which is against testimony from Hope Hicks.
Fox's Nate Foy, the defense attacking Cohen's credibility and arguing business records showing payments to Cohen for legal expenses were not falsified. Earlier today, actor Robert De Niro appearing near the courthouse for the Biden campaign.
We don't want to wake up after the election saying, what, again? My God. What the hell have we done?
De Niro speaking alongside 2 former Capitol police officers after recently making a campaign ad focusing on the Capitol riot. Donald Trump Jr. telling reporters,
they bring out one actor. Remember in 2020 when every A-list actor in the world showed up for Joe Biden, they lined up one by one?
The jury is expected to get the case tomorrow after instructions from the judge. More than 1 million homes and businesses have no power in Texas, one of the states recovering from the latest round of deadly storms.
Hundreds of thousands of people in the dark right now, as if the weekend wasn't bad enough with the tornadoes that came through and has killed over 20 people across multiple states. The power company is working feverishly to try and restore as much as they can from here all the way down into Dallas, which is about 60 miles to the south.
Fox Weather's Robert Ray in North Texas. Heavy rain expected in the Dallas area tonight. Heavy thunderstorms heading for Houston. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
It's happened 6 times this year. Cloudy, 73 degrees in downtown Indianapolis. Nothing to worry about on your radar. Temperatures tonight drop to the mid-50s. I'm Harrison Silcox for the Michaelis Corporation. Here's what's trending at 5:02. A suspect was shot by Indianapolis police this morning. Here's Donnie Burgess.
It all started when several suspects stole a car from a woman at an East Side apartment complex. An IMPD officer was in the area and started chasing one suspect, yelling at him to get on the ground. The suspect tried for the getaway car and was shot.
Aid was rendered, and the suspect was taken to Eskenazi Hospital and has died.
IMPD Chief Chris Bailey, 2 guns with extended mags were found in the area, including one near the suspect. A police body camera was activated. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
The body of a man from Greenwood was pulled this morning from Lake Lemon in Monroe County. 23-year-old Nathan Stout had gone missing from his group of friends near the beach around 2 in the morning. His cause of death still pending. 3 people killed in crashes between last night and this morning across the capital city. One of those a hit and run involving a go-kart and an SUV.
One, it is a crime to have a crash and leave the scene. It's a misdemeanor.
IMPD Captain Todd Wildhammer says it's even worse when it's a fatal wreck. IMPD still looking for suspects in all 3 crashes. Several nurses at Ascension St. Vincent Hospital have decided to resign after a cyber attack disrupted operation. Justin Neisser claims poor morale has not helped either.
I think this was kind of the last straw with a lot of nurses here who seemed like they weren't getting a lot of support that they needed with administration. And many travelers have decided to not extend and renew their contract.
Neisser says after that cyber attack, delays are commonplace at the hospital. The next few days are supposed to be dry in Indiana, but Jason Puma with the National Weather Service says this weekend it could rain.
Once we get to the weekend, we'll have chances for showers and thunderstorms returning once again on a daily basis, anywhere between a 20 and 40% chance, so no real super strong signals at this point.
He says some of the places that got the most rainfall over Memorial Day weekend are in western and southern Indiana. They got anywhere from 2 to 3 inches of rain. Traffic and weather in 60 seconds. Your time is 5:04.
Michaelis presents Password. The word is basement.
Okay. Wet.
Rain.
Leaky.
Faucet.
Stinky.
Socks.
Moldy.
Underwear.
What? It's basement.
Oh.
Really? Moldy underwear?
Well, sometimes.
Ew. I did not need to know that.
Basement waterproofing and French drains. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it.
Make it Michaelis.
Come on, take your basement back. 844-FIX-INDY.
With traffic on the 5s at 5:05, here's Matt Baer.
Eastbound 70, Harrison on the west side, crash. And this is between Tibbs Avenue and Belmont. And right now the right lane is blocked. Traffic stopped well past Holt Road. Looking at southbound 65, that's stop and go. MLK to Meridian Penn. Northbound lane struggling out of the north split up to 21st Street. East side northbound 465, stop and go traffic from I-70 up to East 56. North side eastbound 465, a grind for after Meridian over to Allisonville Road. Westbound lanes also bad from Meridian past Michigan Road. And then on the south side, southbound 465, stop and go traffic from Sam Jones Expressway over to the White River. Crash on the east side 38th at Arlington, one on the north side Meridian southbound after 96, and a couple of crashes on the south side Raymond Street east of Emerson, Southport Road west of McFarland. Traffic sponsored by Mr. Quick Home Services. Attention Indy homeowners, is your cooling system ready for the heat? Don't sweat it. Mr. Quick Home Services has you covered with their special $89 cooling tune-up offer. I'm Matt Baer. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
And the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Low temperatures tonight into the mid-50s. A few showers and storms early on, but drying out in the forecast for tomorrow. High temperatures into the lower 70s. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
I'm Harrison Silcox on the level on the go and on WIBC.com.
Hammer, and Nigel.
Can you believe these characters?
My name is Nigel, the gun guy, Relford, filling in for Jason Hammer. A couple of special things happening this hour. At about 5:20, Michael Young from the IndyCar Radio and part of the IMS radio network calling the Indy 500 from Turn 2 on Sundays calling in. Guy's one of my mentors. I've known him since I was in my early 20s. I'm in my late 40s now. He is we're going to talk about that exciting ending to a virtually unprecedented day at the track, guys. So he's calling in at 5:20. Then at 5:30, are you available to do Ask the Gun Guy?
I love Ask the Gun Guy.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
especially because your show was preempted, obviously.
Yeah, right.
By
race
activities.
coverage.
Yeah, race coverage Saturday and Sunday. So we will do Ask the Gun Guy a little bit after 5:30. Stay tuned.
Love it.
For all of it. Right now, though, I did want to mention Donald Trump arrived today for closing arguments. I don't know. I don't like using the word the hush money trial.
Yeah.
Again, hush money implies guilt. Like he is meeting Stormy Daniels at some greasy spoon diner, like that scene in Seven where Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt meet the guy from the FBI and he hands him a package underneath the table, like he did that with Stormy Daniels or something. No, this was like all the hush money, the quote-unquote hush money, was a non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah.
That was drawn up in a legal fashion by lawyers. She signed it, agreed to take it, and she's the one that blabbed. He should be suing her for violating that thing. But they're calling this the hush money trial because they're saying that the hush money contributed to, election, his interference or whatever they're calling, what's the excuse
he was trying to
using?
deceive the American public into being elected president.
Yes.
I have a slightly different take on that, Nige, and that is that I don't have a big problem with the term hush money because what are you doing? I mean, we call it a non-disclosure agreement. You're completely right. But what are you doing? You're telling somebody not to spill the beans on something that's happened or not to disclose something.
But they're saying the way he classified it on the books.
Yeah. Well, no.
No.
I'm not saying he's guilty of a crime. I'm not saying that in any way, shape, or form. And I understand what the allegation is. I'm just saying I don't have a big problem with the term hush money trial just because that's what he paid her to do. Well, somebody paid her to do, which was not go out and announce that she'd had an affair with then candidate Donald Trump.
Which happened in the early 2000s, in the early to mid 2000s.
As far as the actual affair?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was not, it wasn't like the day before he announced his intentions to run for president.
Yeah, and if you're somebody like Stormy Daniels, you're just sitting around with a wish list of who you've slept with that you really hope does well politically or otherwise, so you then have some leverage.
So, okay, so it's closing arguments today. The jury's going to decide whether or not to convict him, and it could be history if he, the first criminally convicted former president and current White House hopeful in history. So after months of saying that politics had nothing to do with this trial, Biden's people showed up and made a campaign event out of a trial day for President Trump outside the courthouse. Did you see this?
I did. I just saw some coverage of it after the fact. But, my first question was, isn't it interesting that they're having this event? Now, listen, if he's convicted, you'll see many more of these, right? They'll take as much advantage of that as they possibly can.
Refer to him as convicted
But it's interesting to me
Trump.
that they're not waiting on the verdict, that they want to have this event now. What's that tell you? That tells you that there's some possibility in their minds that despite the jurisdiction, despite it being in New York, that they think there's some possibility he could be acquitted, so they're trying to make the most advantage of it now. I think this shows some doubt in their minds as to whether he's actually going to be convicted.
I got a clip about that here in just a second. But so this thing today, this dog and pony show outside the courthouse with the Biden administration, he had a spokesman out there. And then Robert De Niro has joined the Biden-Harris campaign.
Here we go.
They wheeled out his old bones. He had a press conference. He was wearing a mask outside, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Again, this is outside the courthouse where this Biden-led witch hunt is taking place to make, and it's so funny because De Niro's on this unhinged rant, and a car alarm kind of interrupt his truly deranged remarks.
What does that mean? Is that the country we want to live in? Do we want him running this country and saying, I'm not leaving, I'm dictator for life?
And he just kind of gets a little bit more here from Robert De Niro.
And that's why I've joined the Biden-Harris campaign, because the only way to preserve our freedoms and hold on to our humanity is to vote for Joe Biden for president. Really. We don't have a choice.
This is a guy that's had everything in his life. He pretends for a living. He's had everything written out for him. But when it tries to come to a coherent thought about Donald Trump, he's at a loss for words. And we're up against it here. I just want to play Trump's campaign secretary, his press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, unloading on the Biden administration because of this little charade.
A full-blown concession that this trial is a witch hunt, that what you just heard from is a desperate and failing and pathetic campaign who knows that they are losing. Joe Biden's sending his campaign outside of this criminal courthouse. It is a full-blown concession that this trial is a witch hunt that comes from the top, comes from Joe Biden, and he is using a far-left district attorney in this city, Alvin Bragg. This case would have been laughed out of any other courtroom in America. Legal scholars on both sides of the aisle, even liberal legal scholars, agree there is no crime, there is no case. But Joe Biden knew he could use Alvin Bragg, who is sitting in that courthouse today, wasting away the tax dollars of the hardworking people of this city to go after Joe Biden's political opposition.
There you go. That's what we were talking about at the very beginning. This wasn't about politics. The Biden administration, the DOJ didn't want anything to do with this. This was not politics. This was straight law. Yeah. And then they hold a campaign event right outside the courthouse on a Trump trial day.
But, I want to go back to the car alarm because I can't get past that. Because you know what? I want to see? I want to see the new released video from a security cam somewhere that has somebody
did it on purpose.
Tommy Lahren sitting on the hood of a Porsche. Tommy Lahren sitting on the hood of a Porsche, bouncing up and down on the hood of a Porsche.
I love it. Matt
Absolutely.
Bear. My man Matt Bear, what's up with traffic?
All right, fellas, looking at eastbound 70 on the west side. That's a crash before Belmont, blocking the right lane, stopping traffic well past Holt Road, back to Minnesota Street, approaching Sam Jones Expressway. So on the west side, the southwest side, southbound 465, stop before and after 70, then slow over to the White River. Let's look at the north split. Northbound 65 out of the north split is slow up to 21st. Southbound 65, stop and go after MLK to Meridian Penn. North side, westbound 465, slow roll Meridian past Michigan. Eastbound lanes tight from Michigan over to Meridian. And eastbound 465, stop and go traffic Westfield Boulevard over to Allisonville Road. Crash Raymond Street east of Emerson Avenue. Another on the south side, Southport Road west of McFarland. And now a crash westbound Washington Street at Hamblin. Traffic sponsored by Grand Appliance Shop. Grand Appliance for a huge selection of top appliance brands like Samsung and more at unbeatable prices. Learn more at grandappliance.com or your local showroom. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
Two things coming up. Michael Young from the IMS Radio Network calling the Indy 500 yesterday from Turn 2 on Sunday. He is coming up next with his overall assessment, what he saw and noticed and thought about yesterday's race. And then at 5:30, Ask the Gun Guy. Get ready. You could call in at 239-9393 starting at 5:30 to Ask the Gun Guy anything 2A related, anything gun safety related. Guy Relford filling in for Hammer here. My name is Nigel. It is 73 at the American Standard Cooling Weather Center on 93 WIBC. Hammer and I are American Standard customers. We use American Standard dealers exclusively. I have an American Standard equipment installed in my house. In fact, here's Hammer to talk about one of those trusted local American Standard dealers.
Kirby Heating and Air in Pittsburgh. Kirby, They've been in business for well over 3 decades, Lloyd and Jessica Kirby. They're the founders of this awesome family-run business, and now their sons, Robert and Adam, they're carrying on the tradition of excellent service and pride in their work. Kirby, serving Hendricks and the surrounding counties. The reason they chose to install American Standard? Quality. So if you need furnace service, contact Kirby today. 317-892-3614 or go to kirbyheating.com. That's 317-892-3614. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you. American Standard Heating and Air, built to a higher standard.
The Voice of Health Minute with Dr. Robert Prather of Holistic Integration. Let's talk about auricular therapy, what role that can play in anxiety, especially PTSD. And a lot of people probably haven't heard of auricular therapy, but it's very powerful. We do that in our office.
Medics are trained in the military to hit certain acupuncture points on the ear, the auricular. They have special little pads that they put on there on a certain point, and they have found that if they do that, that they need 80% less morphine is used by the soldiers when they're wounded. So there's less pain, there's less trauma. It cuts down on the PTSD that's associated with an injury by about 80%, which they found for the frontline responders.
Auricular therapy is based on ear points
that go right to the brain. You can actually hit an amygdala point, stop that anxiety response.
The Voice of Health with Dr. Robert Prather, Sundays at 8 p.m. or anytime at thevoiceofhealthradio.com.
When you use Bounce dryer sheets and your clothes look amazing, it's the sheet. Less static in your life? Yeah, it's the sheet. Smelling fresher than ever? It's the sheet. Oh, so soft fabric? Ooh la la. It's the sheet. Less wrinkles on your clothes? You know it's the sheet. Bounce dryer sheets. More freshness, more softness. Less static, less wrinkles. It's the sheet.
Inside Indiana Business Radio, the news you need to get ahead. Indiana's business news leader, weekdays at 6:32 a.m. and 5:56 p.m. on WIBC.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com.
This hour on 93 WIBC, powered by Absolute Comfort, your American Standard Mitsubishi electric ductless mini splits dealer.
And Pato Award has a 3-car length advantage over Joseph Newgarden. Newgarden trying to be the 6 back-to-back winners, but not if Pato Award has anything to say about it. He'll go extremely low down that back straightaway. Pato Award snaking around, trying to irritate that air. Newgarden to the outside. Newgarden side by side has taken the lead at the Indianapolis 500-mile race.
Joseph Newgarden with a strong run into turn number 3. Pato Award makes a run, but he will not catch it. Joseph Newgarden goes back-to-back, wins the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race.
An absolutely incredible ending to a virtually unprecedented day out at the track. We'll bring on Michael Young from IndyCar Radio and part of the IMS radio network, calling the Indy 500 from turn 2 on Sunday. He was the first voice you heard in that clip of the final lap. Michael, who is the most animated of all the guys calling the race? Because I think it's a tie. Me personally, I think it's a tie between you and Jake Query. And I say Jake Query because I see Jake every day here in the building, and he's such kind of a subdued, even-keeled guy. But when he gets in that race mode, I think it's a tie between you and Jake. What do you think?
Yeah, I get pretty animated.
Yeah,
easily.
I love it.
I'm very excitable, and I think that the situation then becomes Jake has to continue with that animation. If he does it, I'll be like, crazy excited, and then if he's like just a normal call, it just changes. I will tell you. Yeah. Last year's 500,
yes,
and my call with Newgarden and Erickson,
yes,
I thought there is no way he could take it up another level. I said not even Jake has that extra gear, and he did last year. It's amazing. Our group of guys,
they're great. They're absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. It is an honor to work with this crew, and there have been so many great broadcasters with this radio network, but the group that we have right now, I don't know if it gets any better than that group. And there will always be, great broadcasters, but we have a pretty special group right now.
So your overall assessment of everything that took place, we could drill down to the final few laps here in just a few minutes, but just your overall take on just a crazy, fun Sunday at the track, especially with the 4-hour weather delay.
I was happy that they kept the race fans informed. I think Doug Bowles and everybody at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Roger Penske, did a great job laying everything out.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't start the race knowing it was going to rain, and then that rain just kind of stalled out, which made it even more interesting how the afternoon would play out. But the fact that they got all of the pre-race festivities in and were able to give the fans the opportunity to enjoy an integral part of the Indianapolis 500 was fantastic. And then the race itself, there was a moment, and we were talking when we were in commercial break, I thought Connor Daly and Stingray Robb were in the catbird seat. Their strategy was great. And then, those odd last couple of cautions came out. Will Power's incident changed the complexity of that. But man, it was a great race.
That you're talking about Will Power. Was that was on him, that wreck, right? Or whatever happened to him? That was on him. He said that he saw a lot of the drivers getting into that second groove, so he went up there and he said it was just really dirty, and he just lost control of the car. But seriously, how crazy passionate! I mean, you had fans looking down the barrel of a thunderstorm with lightning. They had to exit the track, and they said, "Hey, you know what? I'm just going to stand under this bridge for 2 hours, and maybe the race will happen, maybe not. And I'm taking a chance." And they filled that place back up like it never even happened.
Right. I was amazed, not really amazed. I was happy that the fans hung in there for, that 4-hour span, because I think the payoff was worth every minute of them having to wait. It was one of the situations, calling that race, I don't remember in that last lap hearing the crowd in our calls as much as we heard it this past year. When I'm on top of the turn 2 suites, and the Southeast Vista is a bit away from me, and I could hear the fans cheering when Nick made his call and won. It was insane. Yes. And then when you get down to Jake, the roar of the crowd almost half drowns out what the call is, because the fans were that crazy excited. You had a lot of Joseph Newgarden fans. I think a majority of the Pato Award people, Arrow McLaren fans, they were cheering Pato on. It was just a classic duel at the finish of the Indianapolis 500, and we've had back-to-back races like that now. And, and you go back to Helio Castroneves. It's just we've had a good streak of Indianapolis 500 finishes, that's for sure.
You mentioned Helio. I mean, I think he's the last one that won back-to-back Indy 500s. Am I wrong on that? Is that right? In the early 2000s?
Yeah, 2001 and 2002, nearly did it in 2003.
Yeah.
But, that's the last time it happened. And it just was a very special race, and I think that's what made that day so special, is that with the rain and everything that had happened, I think everybody forgot about it. By the time we were on lap 199 through, the lap 200, it was like, wow, what a day.
What did you do during that 4-hour break? Obviously, you couldn't stay in your perch there in turn 2. Did you just go back to the media center and have some food and hang out?
Yeah, so basically we never even went out. We sat in the broadcast booth for most of the day, but I was there at 5:15, right around there, to do PA. So I welcomed the fans of the public address. Greg Rakestraw and I were there at the morning shift. So I sat down in my car and we rebrand last year's 500. So I listened to that, shut my eyes for a minute, and then you can't really sleep. Just kind of half doze off, and then went back out, walked through the garage area, talked to some of the teams, and headed out and got it done. So it was pretty exciting.
What was more, okay, I'll put you on the spot here, more exciting ending to the race, last year's or this year's?
I would say for me, last year's, for the simple fact that we had never seen that shootout like it like it played out.
Yeah, like a red flag, right?
Yeah.
Like with the last few laps.
Yeah, this year's finish, it was unfortunate that if you look at last year's race and this year's race, they almost played out the same.
It really did.
In the fact that Pato O'Ward, is leading into turn number 1, and Marcus Ericsson was leading into turn number 1. Marcus Ericsson took Joseph Newgarden down low, went below the white line, about a full car below that white line, swung back out. That gave Joseph a run, and he got around him. Pato did the same thing this year, took him down below the white line, and Joseph did the same thing, swung out and got around him a little bit later. But in turn 3, it's almost as if we had forgotten that really the last and the best opportunity to pass is in turn number 3. And if Pato, I'm just curious if Pato would have hung on and just waited to turn number 3 if he could have gotten around Joseph.
Man, he was devastated at the end of that race. I was watching on TV, obviously. They lifted the blackout, and F-bombs flying on NBC.
Yep.
It was, he was.
Well, Pato is one of my favorite drivers. He's so passionate. He's so fan-friendly. He brings such a different element of fans to the race, being from Mexico. I remember in Portland a couple of years ago, the fans just stood out there chanting "Ole, ole, ole, Pato, Pato," and he is one of the brightest characters we have in the paddock, and the fact that he was that close. He'll get it. He'll get it someday. But man alive, I thought he had it wrapped up a couple of days ago.
And sorry, I'm all over the place here. You mentioned Ericsson and the finish last year with Newgarden. Ericsson was like the first out. And it was a rookie mistake, right? It was not his mistake, but it was a lot of rookies made, mistakes that took him out of the race. But that was heartbreaking for Ericsson.
Well, you look at Ericsson's entire month. He felt he had a great race car. He has the crash in turn 4, has to go to a backup, struggles to even make the race. So now he's in the race, in the last row, gets into turn number 1. Tom Blomqvist gets down on the curb and kicks the car out, and he's out in a turn and a half. And he hadn't even started the race. Turn and a half, he's already out. So it's just like what went from an Indianapolis 500 victory to second place last year to not even getting through a turn and a half. It had to have been frustrating for Marcus. And he's such a great guy, too. He's just a fantastic individual and such a great champion for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and will do anything you ask of him when it comes to the Indianapolis 500. And for that to happen, it was heartbreaking.
And then 2 in a row for Joseph Newgarden. Just before I let you go, talk about his performance.
It's just crazy, though, to watch his craft and to be there at the end and everything that had happened to them with the penalty in Long Beach and he loses his win on the streets of St. Petersburg, to come back and to be as strong as he was on Sunday was you have to now start considering him as a threat to be a 4-time winner. As long as he's with Team Penske and it's a contract year, if he comes back, who knows? He could maybe win 3 in a row. Unheard of, unprecedented, and he's certainly with the right operation, the right team, and he certainly knows how to get around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for sure.
That's Michael Young, IndyCar Radio, part of the IMS Radio Network, calling the Indy 500 from Turn 2 on Sunday, the 108th running of the Indy 500. Incredible work, and just for you and the whole crew, man. I listened to the end of the race exclusively on the radio, and it just gave me goosebumps. Michael, let's get together. Let's get the old crew back together, man. Me and you and Adam and a bunch of other people like from the old days, and have a blowout, man.
It would be fun. I think we've all aged a little bit. Days, and our musical taste may have changed just a touch, but in any case, that would be fantastic. Would love it.
Hey, Michael, have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
You got it.
Okay, open phones right now. Since the gun guy, Guy Relford, is filling in for Hammer, we're going to do Ask the Gun Guy. So if you have a 2A question, Guy Relford, obviously a Second Amendment attorney, licensed firearms instructor. If you have a legal question, if you have a question about a gun, if you have a question about anything 2A related, call now, 239-9393. Now is your chance. Hardly ever get to do this at all during the week, but it's time for Ask the Gun Guy. 239-9393. 93. Call now with your question. Now look at the news.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
When it could rain again. 74 degrees, cloudy in downtown Indianapolis. No rain to be concerned with on your radar, at least for now. You'll have a low of about 55 tonight. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending at 5:32. A mostly dry week expected, but you might see some isolated storms this evening.
And then we have dry weather expected from Wednesday all the way through Friday.
Jason Puma with the National Weather Service says storms could return by the weekend. At this point, he's not expecting anything severe. A carjacking suspect was shot by Indianapolis police early this morning on the northeast side. That suspect later died in the hospital.
One officer is the one that fired his weapon. The detectives did locate 2 firearms at the conclusion of this incident. Both of them had extended magazines, and one was equipped with a machine gun conversion device.
IMPD Chief Chris Bailey, police body cameras were activated during the incident. The U.S. is hitting the pause button on sending some help from a temporary pier on the Gaza coast after it broke this weekend, with sections of that pier losing power.
Upon completion of the pier, repair and reassembly, the intention is to re-anchor the temporary pier to the coast of Gaza and resume humanitarian aid to the people who need it most.
Defense Department spokeswoman Sabrina Singh, repairs are expected to take more than a week. A second American has been released from Turks and Caicos after traveling to the island with some ammunition, breaking the country's laws.
Tyler Wenrich of Virginia is being set free on time served for having the ammo in his luggage. The office of GOP Congressman Mark Wayne Mullen of Oklahoma said in a statement to Fox Digital a fine will be imposed. Turks and Caicos law sets a 12-year minimum prison sentence for possession of a weapon and ammunition. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller said foreign travel warnings say
that people should be aware of local laws, which would, of course, prevent people from landing themselves in this situation.
Last week, Brian Hagerich of Pennsylvania was released for a similar offense on a suspended sentence.
Fox's Colonel Scott. Several nurses at Ascension St. Vincent Hospital have decided to resign after a cyber attack disrupted operations. Justin Nicer claims poor morale has not helped either.
I think this was kind of the last straw with a lot of nurses here who seemed like they weren't getting a lot of support that they needed with administration. And many travelers have decided to not extend and renew their contract.
Nicer's one of those traveling nurses who decided to quit. He says delays are now commonplace at the hospital ever since that cyber attack. With traffic at 5:34, here's Matt Baer.
All right, Harrison, looking at the west side eastbound 70 near Belmont. That's after Holt. It is a crash out of the interstate onto the shoulder. Still not helping as much as far as the delay. Still jammed up back to Sam Jones Expressway. Also rubbernecking going on westbound 70, causing a stop-and-go situation from the south split past Belmont. Southbound 65 to downtown, stop-and-go, MLK to Meridian Penn. North side westbound 465 dragging after Meridian past Michigan Road. Eastbound 465 stop and go before Westfield Boulevard over to Allisonville Road. Southbound Keystone Parkway barely moving in parts from 116th Street down to 465. East side northbound 465 jam from 70 up to East 56th Street. And a crash. This is 30th at Franklin on the east side. Also on the east of 38th at Arlington Avenue. And a crash on the north side. That's southbound Meridian after 96th. Traffic sponsored by Drexel Interiors. Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's Design Centers at 146th Street and River Road or on North Shadeland online at drexelin.com. I'm Matt Baer. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
And the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Low temperatures tonight into the mid-50s. A few showers and storms early on, but drying out in the forecast for tomorrow. High temperatures into the lower 70s. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
I'm Harrison Silcox on the level on the go and on WIBC.com.
Go.
Hello.
Laying down one night.
My name is Nigel. Guy Relford's filling in for Hammer. Guy, you didn't have the Gunday show over the weekend because obviously race coverage all weekend long.
Exactly.
And so we're going to do Ask the Gun Guy right now. 2399393. If you have a gun safety question, if you have a 2A question for Guy Relford, and the floor is yours, sir. You have the phones over there. Go for it.
Absolutely. Let's bring them on in. If you have a question or comment, give us a call, 317-239-9393, 239-9393. Let's go right to the phone lines. Alan, welcome to Hammer Nigel, man. What do you got for us?
Hi, guys. A thrill to talk to you.
You too, sir.
I had a disagreement with a coworker about response to an active shooter. Is it permissible to exit a building, retrieve your legal firearm from your car, and go back in to protect the people that are trapped inside?
Sure. I mean, there's absolutely nothing prohibiting that. And your coworker may be confused in some jurisdictions. Alan, you have a duty to retreat. You have a duty to run away if you have the opportunity to run away before using deadly force in self-defense. And Indiana has no such obligation. In fact, in our self-defense statute, it says specifically no obligation to retreat. So it's up to you. If you want to, take that risk and go back into a dangerous situation after you've had the opportunity to leave. But if you choose to do that, for instance, let's say there's an active shooter, you ran out to your car, got your gun, ran back in, and stopped the threat by killing that active shooter. Is there something you could be prosecuted for in that moment? Absolutely not. So I appreciate you calling. Let's go back to the phone lines, and we've got Lee has called in. Lee, welcome to Hammer and Nigel. What can I answer for you?
I was told that there was a law change, and I can't find it, but it is regarding if you have your gun, but it's out of sight, not seen, but on school grounds, and the car is locked. Is that illegal now?
No, absolutely not. If that's specifically legal, and the reason it's legal is because of a bill that I actually wrote about 4 years ago, maybe going on 5 now, where if you're on school property and you have a gun in your vehicle that's locked in your vehicle out of sight, then that's legal. And that was illegal before about, 4 or 5 years ago. And now it's legal. Now the gun, again, the vehicle has to be locked and the gun has to be out of sight.
You can't just lay the thing on the dashboard, right?
Exactly. That now would be a misdemeanor if the vehicle's locked but the gun's visible. But no, there's nothing that's changed since we made that legal to have a gun locked in your vehicle out of sight on school property. Let's go back to the phone lines. We've got Dave has called in. Dave, thanks for calling Hammer Nigel, man. What can I do for you?
Yes, I appreciate you guys taking my call. I love the show. Love the Gun Guy show. You guys rock.
Appreciate it.
Long-time listener, first-time caller. Quick question. A felon. Can a felon hunt with a crossbow or a muzzle loader?
Did you say with a pistol?
Crossbow. No, with a crossbow.
Oh, crossbow. Yes. There's not a law that I'm familiar with that says a felon cannot possess a crossbow. The only federal law that we're dealing with here is one that says they cannot possess a firearm, and a firearm is defined as a weapon that expels a projectile by means of an explosion. So a crossbow expels a projectile, but it's by means of a drawstring and not by a explosion like burning gunpowder. So crossbow I don't see as an issue. The issue on black powder is the federal law accepts what are called antique firearms from the definition of firearms. And that's got a very specific definition. It's not quite so broad as to include all black powder firearms. So without taking too much time here on the air, I would Google or ask a knowledgeable person or send me an email for the actual definition of an antique firearm. But it includes black powder firearms that are not fired by means of a fixed cartridge, and et cetera, or replicas of such guns. And there is an exception there because they're not considered firearms.
But, Guy, you can't be a convicted felon and go out with a rifle and hunt.
No, I mean, with a typical firearm, no. If there's a federal law that says if you have any felony conviction, which is defined as a conviction for a crime for which you could have been sentenced to over a year, not what you were sentenced to, what the maximum possible penalty was for that crime. If you have one of those convictions, which is how we define felony, you cannot possess a firearm. And there's all this bad information, Nigel, and I see it on the internet. And I always say it's like playing Pop-A-Mole, because it keeps popping back up, and I try to beat it back down, and it pops back up again, and it's exhausting. But there's this rumor out there on the internet that if you're a non-violent felon, you can possess a firearm in Indiana. And what they're doing is they're conflating or confusing state law and federal law. There's a federal law that applies it to us here in Indiana that says if you have any felony conviction, you cannot possess a firearm. So people are out there, and I've defended clients who are getting prosecuted because they read this BS on the internet and believed it, and then got caught with a firearm with a felony conviction. And so no, if you have any felony conviction, you cannot possess a firearm. So,
do one more call. We'll take a break and then come back with
okay,
more
absolutely.
Calls, okay?
And by the way, we're going to have more opportunity after the break, so give us a call, 317-239-9393, 237-9393. Go back to the phone lines, and Ryan has called in. Ryan, welcome, man. What can we do for you?
Hey, guys.
Hey, buddy.
You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
I read something recently that the pistol brace law had changed yet again this year, and I just figured you'd probably have the best accurate update on that.
Well, and what the gentleman's talking about here is a pistol brace, which is designed to go around your forearm. You can connect it to a pistol. And for 10 years, the ATF said that does not convert your pistol into a short-barreled rifle. And short-barreled rifles have to be registered under the National Firearms Act of 1934. Here, just a year or so ago, the ATF changed its mind, did a 180 on that, and said, oh, no, now pistol braces, because you can set them against your shoulder and use them as a stock, those do convert a pistol into a short-barreled rifle. And if we catch you with one of those, that's an unregistered short-barreled rifle, and we'll put you in prison for 10 years. What you're actually asking about, Ryan, is a court ruling that occurred in the Northern District of Texas, where one judge in Texas said that the pistol brace rule promulgated by the ATF is illegal. Not that it violates the Second Amendment, but that it wasn't passed the appropriate way because it was so different from the proposed rule the ATF put out. So it violated, get this, the Administrative Procedures Act at the federal level. So it's illegal, it's unenforceable, and issued an injunction that judge in the Northern District of Texas says is nationwide. Now, can one judge in Texas order the ATF to not enforce a law across the entire country? That's an open question. Has the ATF enforced the rule since that judge's ruling? No. So a lot of people are saying, aha, eureka, the pistol braces are legal again. Let me tell you, the rule's still on the books. Congress has not overruled it, and the ATF has not rescinded it. And we're talking about 10 years in prison. I would not personally have a pistol brace on my firearm today, relying on what one judge in Texas has said.
All right. Is there still people on hold over there?
There are, yeah.
Okay, if you're on hold, hang on. We'll be right back with Ask the Gun Guy, Guy Relford, filling in for Hammer. I'm Nigel. It's the Hammer and Nigel Show.
It is more important than ever to hire the right agent to sell your home to maximize its sales price. That is why I recommend Mark Dietl. Mark and his team have the plan and experience to sell your home fast for maximum cash. Maybe you're worried about costly repairs or upgrades to sell your home. Mark Dietl guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Jim and Jean in Whitestown had to say about working with Mark Dietl. Our 18-acre horse farm was a lot to manage, and we were ready to downsize. But selling a horse farm is unique. It takes the right agent and the right buyer, so we hired Mark Dietl. Mark aggressively marketed the property and found the right buyer with a super quick close. Call the local Indianapolis agent I trust and recommend, and the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietl, 317-755-4232 for all the details, or go online to markdietl.com. That's Mark, Dietel.com.
Hey, what's up? It's Hammer and Nigel here.
Hello.
What if you could get a 15% upfront bonus on your money and If that's not enough, a competitive return that's averaged 7% a year for the past decade.
I'd say, where do I sign up? Get a 15% upfront bonus. Upfront bonus when you invest your money, and a competitive return that's averaged 7% a year for the past decade. And you can get those details from one Mr. Bill Demery right here in Indy.
He's your retirement guy. He's my retirement guy. And when you meet with Bill Demery, he will explain things in a way that you understand. I know this because I've met with him. Bill Demery. Call him right now, 317-648-5120. That's Bill Demery, 317-648-5120. Ask about the upfront bonus. Past performance is no guarantee of future returns.
Hey, you've been hearing us talk about Jay's Lobster and Fish Market in the Garage Food Hall in the Bottle Works District downtown Indy. They specialize in those lobster rolls, and, you know, it's a New England-style seafood shack. Everything lobster. And now try the new hot honey-fried lobster roll. So delicious.
Also in the Garage Food Hall in the Bottle Works District, Palavana Cubano. The best Cuban food in Indy. And the Cuban Reuben, it's the GOAT. Palavana Cubano. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
BoerRemodeling.com, serving Central Indiana for 23 years. These are your kitchen and bathroom remodeling specialists. When you're ready to make the change, they're ready for you. It's a new year, so it's time to get it done. That kitchen, that heart of the home, the bathroom, a place where you can actually relax and build instant equity in your home. 317-852-5546 or online at Boer, B-O-O-H-E-R, BoerRemodeling.com.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Shop Grand Appliance for a huge selection of top appliance brands like Samsung and more at unbeatable prices. Learn more at grandappliance.com or your local showroom.
Heat and cool your man cave, attic, garage, or bonus room without adding ductwork with Mitsubishi Electric ductless mini splits.
To find out more, just go to absolutecomfort.org.
Matt Bear, what's going on?
Northwest side crash eastbound 465 coming out of the 865 ramps and the right lane is blocked. This is causing stop traffic back to West 86th Street. Also a crash downtown, another one on eastbound 70. It's at Meridian, Illinois, blocking the left lane. Not causing much of a delay right now. There will be a slowdown going through there. The crash did clear on eastbound 70 back at Belmont. Still stop and go past Holt Road. You should be moving before too long. Southbound 65 stop and go MLK to Meridian Penn and a crash. This is going to be Meridian Street southbound after 96. 2 on the east side. This is Franklin Road at 30th. Another 38th at Arlington Avenue. Traffic sponsored by Drexel Interiors. Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's Design Centers at 146th Street and River Road or on North Shadeland online at drexelin.com. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
72 at the American Standard Cooling Weather Center, 93 WIBC. I'm Nigel. Guy Relford continuing with Ask the Gun Guy. Guy Relford filling in for Hammer. Who do we have?
Absolutely. Let's go right back to the phone lines and love it when these guys call in. Frank, welcome to Hammer Nigel, man. This is Guy.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Hope you're doing well.
You too, sir.
Thank you. I have an NFA trust question.
Yes.
If I have another party on the trust that is in another state and a suppressor in the trust, do I need permission from the ATF for the other party to take the suppressor out of Indiana?
Yeah, and just so everybody knows what we're talking about here, an NFA trust is a trust again, under the National Firearms Act. So this is a trust that can own things that are regulated by that act, which are unusual firearms. I don't know about unusual, but things like suppressors, short-barreled rifles, machine guns, not your typical rifle, pistol, shotgun. And so the question that Frank's asking is, if he has a co-trustee and there's a suppressor in the trust, because that person lives in another state, do we have to get permission? The short answer, Frank, is no, because get this. Even if you just own a suppressor yourself individually, or if it's owned by a trust, suppressors are not subject to the requirement in the NFA of advising the ATF and getting permission from the ATF before you take an NFA item across state lines. Suppressors are accepted from that. So my short-barreled rifle, I can't take into another state without filing what's called a Form 20 and getting that approved before I can take my short-barreled rifle, let's say, to a training class out of state, which I've done. Suppressors are not subject to that rule. So the short answer is yes, your co-trustee can lawfully take that suppressor across state lines. Now, that assumes, of course, that suppressors are legal in the state where they're going, and that's always something to check because they actually are illegal in a lot of other states. Let's go back to the phone lines. Jay has been on hold for a while. Jay, man, thanks for your patience.
Hey, I appreciate you doing this each week. You're making me a better firearms owner.
Oh, thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
Yeah. My question is, I've got a lifetime concealed carry permit. And for me or anyone else, how do we interpret the sign on a door that says a gun-free zone? Now, I understand the school might be different with laws, but just in general, a sign that says this is a gun-free zone, how should I interpret that?
Yeah, it's such a good question. First of all, and forgive me, you're gonna roll your eyes at me because I'm nitpicking here. We don't have a concealed carry permit in Indiana. We have what's called a license to carry handgun, and the only reason I want to correct people on that, and I want to do it respectfully and not being a jerk about it, is that our license to carry in Indiana has never required you to conceal. You could carry openly if you wanted to. So I always want to gently correct people and say, no, it's a license to carry. But the answer to your question is an important one because this varies dramatically from state to state. In some states, even like so-called gun-friendly states like Texas, if a business has a particular sign up in the entrance and says no firearms allowed, and in Texas this sign is actually prescribed by statute and the government will give you one of these signs. If you ignore that in Texas, then you're committing a crime by carrying a gun into that business. Indiana has no such law, and this is the actual answer to your question. So if there's a business that says no firearms allowed, then I can ignore that if I choose to. And if they catch me and they say, oh, hey, that lump under your jacket looks like a gun to me, you need to leave, then I need to leave. Otherwise, if they ask me to leave and I refuse, now I'm trespassing. And I can go to jail for trespassing. But I'm not violating the law just for violating their sign. In fact, the most common sign I see is a black outline of a gun with international no symbol through it. And the outline of a gun on the sign that I see often looks like a Beretta 92G. I don't carry a Beretta. I consider that to be a no Beretta sign.
Okay.
So it doesn't apply to me.
Got to leave it there, guy.
Got to leave it there.
We
We're
have
good.
an entire hour of the Hammer and Nigel show coming up after 6 o'clock. It's the Hammer and Nigel show. Hey, Hammer and Nigel here for your Central Indiana American Standard Mitsubishi Electric Elite Ductless Pro Dealer. That's Absolute Comfort. Absolute Comfort specializes in Mitsubishi Electric Ductless Mini Splits. They're the diverse systems that can be mounted on your wall or flush with the ceiling, and they heat and cool at very efficient levels, and they can be used to heat or cool specific rooms without the duct work, which ends up being a very clean way to heat and cool your home, business, or even your garage.
These high-tech units are how most of the world heats and cools their homes and offices. These Mitsubishi electric ductless systems have advancements that can sense when a person is in a room and can warm or cool that room to that person's wishes. For the ultimate in efficiency and comfort, contact Chris Wedekin at Absolute Comfort to find out more. AbsoluteComfort.org. AbsoluteComfort.org. Absolute Comfort is your American Standard Mitsubishi Electric Elite Ductless Pro Dealer. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code MONTHFREE by May 31st. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Indiana Pathways for Aging helps Hoosier Medicaid members age 60 and over get support at no additional cost to live life their way.
Mom's Parkinson's is progressing, and Pathways provides in-home support so she can be with family every day.
Pathways coordinates Medicaid and Medicare services. I'm getting help with meals, personal care, and transportation.
One day, I might choose a nursing home, but today, I have options with Pathways.
Eligible members can select a plan now. Call 87 Pathway 4 or visit in.gov/pathways.
Tune in to the Absolute Retirement Planning Show.
When retirement comes about, we're now relying on what we have saved to meet those needs.
Sundays at 9 a.m. right here on 93 WIBC.